Everybody, welcome to the 2025 Canadian Scrabble Classic. I'm Josh Sokol. I'm here today with my good friend Jared Capel, hailing from Toronto. How's it going, Jared? Are you excited for this or what?
I am doing great. I love seeing those Canadian flags beneath our names. This is what it's all about. Two great Canadians commenting on the great Canadian tournament of the year, the Canadian Classic.
Yep, I'm super excited. I did some commentary yesterday for a really special Scrabble showdown taking place as well in Belleville, Ontario. That's where this tournament is being held. Have you ever been to Belleville? Feel like it's
I,
like not
I've been to Kingston before they moved the tournament from Kingston to Belleville. I think I've maybe driven through Belleville. Can't say I've
right.
stopped
Yeah,
there.
it's on the big highway, the big 401 highway, right? But it's sort of like a smaller town, and I think it's temporary. I think it's going to be moving back to Kingston. I shouldn't say this, but yeah, I think it's going back to Kingston. I think there's just some renovations going on in the hotel that I was normally at, but yeah, I've never been to Belleville either. Uh, production team saying who knows about it moving back, but yeah, it's really cool to be here with the Let's Play Scrabble crew. I think it's going to be a great event. There are two divisions in the North American lexicon. I think one big uh, CSW division, if I'm not mistaken. But the first game we're going to show is between two up and coming players. Oscar Freire, who has, I think, the highest rating gain in North America in the last year or so, with like I think 550 rating gained or something like that. And he hails from Ottawa area. And Greg Begorden, who I think is from the Prairies area in Canada, who's also an up and coming player. And yeah, it's going to be really cool to see these two face off against each other. They're not like at the top of the list, but they're both very strong contenders and improving rapidly, I think. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I love
excited for this
seeing
matchup.
new faces on these streams. Really gets to show people that not everyone is maybe as good as a Josh Sokol or Mac Meller
Oh,
or
Jared.
those impressive women we saw yesterday. Congrats to Agnes on winning that set against Annette, and great job by you and Chloe on the commentary. We have so many good women in the scene, and I love to see them performing well. And today we'll get to see some of the young talent. Oscar, I believe, is still a teenager. Is that right?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Oscar. Yeah, I've met him a few times. He's really bright. He's got a really good future ahead of him if he keeps it up. And I'd like to see him at it. I don't think I've ever like seen him play. But yeah, he's been performing super well. He's been improving extremely rapidly. And yeah, I guess let's start this up. We have some previews here. Of course, there's nothing to preview as the tournament is just beginning. We have Greg on the left, Oscar on the right, and yeah, neither of them have won a game yet. That's crazy, but they're also both undefeated. But as the tournament goes on, we're going to see these stats continue to, create themselves, and I'm really excited to see average scores, all that sort of thing. Yeah, right now Greg is in the top 10 in the players competing, and Oscar's is 12th. So they're pretty close in rating right now. But I don't have their exact ratings. I need to check that out. But
I was
if they're
just
ready to
looking.
go,
Greg is about mid 1500s, and Oscar is in the low 1300s. So definitely a different style of play than maybe people are used to watching, but it'll be a great learning experience for the players when they rewatch the game afterwards, and for all of us as we watch together.
indeed, yeah. So let's cut to the board. Let's get things started. Greg is first. And someone's saying he's from the Peg. That's funny. Yeah, Winnipeg. So not super far from Belleville, but Canada's a very large country, and I think there's some like trivia that people will get to do during breaks, and I think some of the questions have to do with the just vastness of the Canadian territory. Um, but yeah, Winnipeg is just one province away, just like Quebec, but I think a lot further away from Belleville than here in Montreal. So, Greg going first, EFTUY, and the last two, another E, and an N. Okay, so somewhat balanced track. Nothing great jumping out at me, but see what he does here.
Yeah,
What do
he's
you see?
definitely going to want to get rid of at least one, if not two, of those higher scoring tiles, the Y, P, and F, to make his rack a bit more flexible going forward. What play would you see that could maybe accomplish such a goal?
Yeah, the only thing that I've really seen is just FEY. That would score 9 times 2, 18. Middle square, doubling the play. The problem with that is it keeps the U, which is just not a vowel that anyone really likes to keep unless they have a Q. But that's, I think, the only way to get rid of both of the high scoring consonants there.
I
And
suppose if you really wanted to get rid of the U, you could play yup, Y-U-P, and then you are getting rid of two high scoring tiles and the U, but F-E-E-N is not exactly ideal. P-U-N-E is probably a bit more flexible.
indeed, yeah. And it looks like he's playing FEY. Another idea might have been ENUF, keeping YEP, which isn't a great um, set of letters if you're trying to get a bingo down, use all of your letters next turn, but it would have been an interesting adjustment. But this seems like the standard decision and a good play to start things off.
Yeah, and now Oscar was given a spot to play his Q. He can play QAT, which would definitely seem natural. He did have tact lined up on his rack, but when you can drop the Q, I think you have to.
Yeah, and in this situation, I think just playing QAT underneath, making FA and ET, that's probably the standard play. You can score a little bit more by playing tact above or beneath the EY, but in either case, he will be giving up a lot of points to Craig, and he will be stuck with this Q that he doesn't want. So I think just caught as a pretty standard decision. He's contemplating it, and yeah, without seeing anything better, I think this is 2 for 2 on the top place. So
I like it.
continual
Great way to
now,
start.
continual on Greg's rack, but that's a word, right? Nowhere to put it.
Yeah, definitely a word. I don't see a spot. He will have some five-letter words he can play. He'll probably be looking to play beneath the Q, forming QI. If you're new to the game, you really want to know those two-letter words. It'll really help you form words going in different directions to help you get points in more than one direction.
Absolutely, yeah. And worth noting that if Oscar had played tact to the right of Faye, in either spot, Pinuel would have gone down. So very good, very good decision that was also justified by the hindsight of it having blocked Greg's bingo. So Lupin is being played. This looks perfect. Is exactly what you want to do. Score points, underlap, keep EN, which is a very strong combination. Unpin also possible in the same spot. That's slightly worse because the N is slightly better than the L. So I think again, a very, very strong play and played very quickly.
I
I'd like
think
to see
we're
it.
3 for 3 on top plays. And we'll see what Oscar does here. That F would look really nicely above the L. You could play something like flaked.
You can also play. You also play something pretty funny through the U. I'm curious as
You could.
to what the best play would be here. I think yeah, playing the F word I think is like very, very strong. Keeping ADET. Being
Yeah.
a teenager, he might be even more inclined or less inclined to play that word on stream.
Well,
Not
I
really
hope he'd be
sure.
more inclined. I would be
I
more
hope so
inclined, but
too.
he's going to play Fleck.
Yeah, score the extra points, 10 extra points. Makes perfect sense. I think it's probably slightly better, but it's hard. It's hard to turn down the F word when you can play it. So I think
That's
this is
true. But
showing a
DAT
lot of
is in this
maturity.
league. And we
Yeah,
see the
Black would have
first
been a bit
blank of the
better.
game has been drawn on Greg's rack here.
Oh yeah, first blank. I was just gonna say flack, FLACK, also valid. Potentially not a word Oscar is totally certain of its validity. That would have been slightly better just to keep the E rather than the A, but very, very small difference here.
Yeah, I didn't want to suggest flat because I wasn't sure if it was good with the C there. So we're all learning together here. As Greg's going to look through this rack, stuff like unloved maybe feels natural, not seeing a spot for that. So he's going to take some time here, I think, to make sure if there is a bingo that he's not missing it.
Yeah, this is the sort of rack that you look at and you're going to be looking for a 7-letter word or an 8-letter word for some amount of time. Given you have a blank and two vowels, four consonants, it would stand to reason that there's a good chance you have a 7-letter word on your rack or an 8-letter word, especially making the blank a vowel. But in this case, it is not true. There's nowhere to play 7 or 8-letter word, but it's important to do your diligence and look as much as you can, just in case there's something that pops out at you. But does look good. I think best option for Greg would be to play off his V somewhere for some points. You could play cloven from the C, but if you play cloved, you're running the risk of losing your turn. Cloved not being a valid word, it's a looks like a word, and it's
Yeah,
very
that's
hard to
definitely a
challenge that.
phony. I could see myself falling into. And you said you can't play a 7 or 8 letter word here, but you can play a 7 or 8 letter phony here. I'm not sure if I see any that looks so viable, but when you're going against a younger upstart sort of player, they might not be as familiar with the words. It takes a long time to really master and get deeper in the dictionary. So I mean, you don't want to be, let's say, rude, but this could be a good situation to try and get a phony bingo down.
Could be very risky decision though. And I remember when I was young, a long time ago, and I played a phony word against a certain player, and didn't get challenged. At the end of the game, he was an older guy and said, "Well, I didn't challenge because you kids, you know the book like the back of your hand." I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I
He
think
said
it's
it's
the
the
opposite.
opposite. But no, it depends. Like some younger players love to study and they've just been exposed to so many words and really just need to get the reps in, to be able to be familiar with those words over the board because it's different than looking at a list of words. It's different than actually knowing the word. But what sort of phony would you play here? Something
Yeah,
like
I've been trying
unclothed?
to find something that would maybe get by an opponent, and like noveled maybe. I'm not really seeing anything too good here. I
Yeah, I
think
mean there are options.
Logan is probably reasonable.
It's interesting. I mean, it could also just be a gut check moment. Maybe Greg sees something like uncloved or cloven and he likes it. He might think it's a valid word. And I could
Yeah,
see myself falling for this or falling into the trap of playing a phony word here too. So yeah, it's a good thing that you mentioned that as I have just the valid plays in front of me. I don't have anywhere near all of the phony plays available in front of me. So it looks like he's thinking about cloven now, and we'll see if that's what comes down.
if you're going to play a phony, you typically want to play it quicker. The longer you take to play it, the more your opponent's senses might get a bit alerted, thinking, if this was a valid word, why did it take you so long to find it?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And as we see, Greg's already taken around 7 minutes of his time, so could also be an indication to the opponent that maybe you're thinking about something, maybe you have a lot of options available to you. As Oscar's only used 2 minutes, he's been very good in his time usage, just taking around 1 minute per move, which is what I recommend. And Cloven comes down. Very good decision. Very mature play as well from Greg, and we like it.
Yeah, Greg is playing great so far. I'm really impressed. I actually don't know Greg. I've never met him. I've never seen him play, but so far he's made three moves, and I think he's made the best move all 3 times.
Yeah, stellar play. Absolutely. He has given Oscar a spot for the letters he has separate from IRDT, WAT. He can play that under the EN if he wants it. I'd maybe be a little bit more inclined to play Wart in the same spot. I don't necessarily want to keep those three consonants together, despite the possibility of that turning into a bingo if I draw a couple vowels next turn. So that's
I
what I'm
think I
seeing
would
off the top of my
play
head.
I would play Watt with 2 T's over Wart, but I suppose it's pretty close.
No, yeah, that's true. The R better with the D for sure. So
Yeah.
that seems like probably the best option that we've seen so far.
Another
Uh,
consideration is that after watching your opponent use so much time, you start to wonder, does he have the blank? And in this case, Greg does have the blank. So the longer a word Oscar makes to the right there, the more space he's giving Greg to use that blank if he does indeed have it.
Though on the other hand, I think that in this case, playing the two consonants next to each other might be a little bit more defensive, unless you're worried about words ending in s. It's a very interesting um, thought, though, for sure. But I think regardless, since Greg's played 5 tiles, it's probably just better to do your own thing here and play Watt. And we really like this play.
Yeah, we really do. Both players are playing so well to start. And now we do have a bingo that could come down. I see the chat has found at least one word there, dry lots. Maybe not a common word to those who haven't studied through the dictionary, but it is an achievable one. We'll see how good Greg's knowledge is here. This is a bit of a word check, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it's also possible that Greg is familiar with the word, but there being a blank in the rack makes it so much more difficult to find all of the options. And I tend to find the Y very, very difficult in terms of finding valid words, valid bingos, especially with a blank. So if Greg finds dry lots, which is indeed his only playable bingo, who will play with Watts, that would be incredibly impressive.
Yeah,
And
it's
he is taking
possible
his
he had
time.
seen destroy, which would have gone beneath flex, but that got blocked by the W. EWS is not valid. So sometimes some players, you might find a bingo and then sit back and feel pretty confident going, well, destroy will probably play beneath cloven or beneath fleck. But you want to be using both your own clock and the opponent's clock to be looking for your best play. And another consideration here is, do both players know that FEY will not take the back S?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I mean, I think the more experienced players have probably learned the hard way that FEY is just an adjective, but could very well slip by somebody's thought process. So I think you're totally right that I bet Greg did see the possibility of destroy and did not expect that both of his spots would get blocked at the same time. And that could be a big gut check, a really big psychology check. See if you're able to recalibrate your thought process and find the valid bingo so long as you know it. So dry lots and Watts, I think, would be an incredibly impressive thing to find.
And if he can't find it, he might be able to just play Nary from the NA and just hit that triple, put a Y out in space. Maybe you can bingo to next turn, hold DOTS blank. There's a couple sort of intermediate moves. He's looking at something, I think, Tori or Dory above Fey, and that is what he'll play.
Okay. Yeah, this is a good choice. There was mention of Fleck taking a Y hook, Flecky, which would have allowed Greg to score a bit more, but also open a dangerous triple spot. I like this play of Tori. It sets up the S hook with Stet and gets rid of a couple of letters, scoring a little bit, but definitely some points left on the table, and potentially a big scoring spot given back to Oscar in the form of that triple under the Y.
Yeah, his first thought will be, can I get that Z on the double letter score and over the triple? And I don't think it's quite possible here. If he had an A, let's say, he could play a Zito. So he's close to some really massive 70, 75 sort of point plays, but it looks like he's setting up Doozy, which would definitely be a nice idea.
Yeah, Doozy looks good. There are some other options here. Something like Dozily as well, or Nazi from the NA are also ways to score well and use the Z. And then there's this really weird option of Zori with if, which is a very aggressive play. However, it would set Oscar up for diff, so it might be worth considering doing something like that. But I think that's a little bit too much. But it might be an aggressive, a worthy aggression at this stage of the game.
Yeah, it's something to consider. It's probably not something I'd play. I think Doozy looks pretty reasonable here. Nazi, I also think, is a nice choice there. We'll see which play he goes to. I think he's got a few very reasonable options here. And he's going to go with Nazi. That's a nice find.
Yeah, we like it. I think yeah, Doozy, a bunch of plays seemed close there. It's interesting that he elected to keep the two O's together, which normally would not be something you'd want to do. But in this situation, the leave of rule is actually pretty good. You do get to hit some 7 and 8 letter words with that, potentially more so than with some of the other leaves that you could have kept.
And we are going to see our first bingo of the game, and I think it's going to be a goody one. How's my
Yeah,
pun game?
looks like Goodies is going to come down for 70 for 68. We'll have to see if that is indeed a blank O, if we have our blank slip camera, because it could very well be something else. But whatever the else would be would not be a valid word. So I'm assuming that since this wasn't held or challenged, yeah, there we go. That is an O. So yeah, a couple points left on the table again. It was possible to play Goodies a few slots to the right, making Goy, and also Nazi did give Greg the possibility of playing Indigos with the OES from the I, but bingo's a bingo, and this puts Greg a little bit into the lead here,
Yeah, he
155.
maybe did rush the turn a bit. That sort of comes back to taking so many minutes on one of his earlier turns. Um, Maybe he started to feel a bit of time pressure and said, "This looks like a good bingo. I'm going to play it." But if it were me, I would have taken a bit more time to look through that Y for double double potentials, and then from that I, because you really want to look where your bingo could score most and start with those spots.
I agree. I do think that practically speaking, it was a great idea to play relatively quickly. Greg did set that S up, and he found a bingo, and he was under 15 minutes in an early stage of the game. So practically speaking, great decision. Had he spent a little bit longer, he might have been able to find something slightly better. But yeah, it does go back to when you have a blank, sometimes it takes a lot of time to sort through your possibilities, and when you eventually see something, you really just want to play it, get it over with.
And here for Oscar, he's got duplicated A's and duplicated O's. We don't like duplicates in Scrabble. He could play something as simple as Zoa, Z-O-A, dropping two of them, but D-A-L-O-R isn't that good of a lead. You know, his first thought would probably be, I really want to go beneath the Y and get over to that triple score, but is there a five-letter word that does that?
No, there's nothing. Unfortunately for Oscar, that double A draw was not what he needed. He's probably regretting a little bit having played keeping two O's with his previous play. I still think it was a very good play, but when you're in the game and you were considering something else, it's possible that when things don't go your way the next turn, it feels like you made a mistake. I don't necessarily think he did, but this draw was definitely on the worst side for him. He's considering playing Zoa from the Z of Nazi, which looks like probably his best option, despite it opening possibilities for a 6-letter word on the bottom right triple. I think that's the best way to get rid of problems on his rack, but it can't feel good at this stage to be down 36, only scoring 20, and keeping balanced letters, but nothing great. And yeah, it really isn't anything that scores well here. Nothing under that Y like you wanted. And I think he's just gonna have to bide his time and see what he gets for next turn.
Yeah, you don't want to play something like a do above goodies just to open a lane here. I think it just scores too little. You're going to have to take the points with Zoa. The problem is, though, by only scoring 20, you're given a really easy spot for 40 back. Um, and we'll see if Greg is able to hit that spot.
Yeah, lots of options were available there too. Zoa does make the most sense.
Sorry, that is lightning in the background here. I'm going to shut my window.
Wow,
Yeah,
it's
the whole sky just erupted. I guess they didn't like that Zoa play.
wow. That's the loudest bout of thunder I've ever heard on stream. Are you in the same country? Isn't it wintertime? What in
It
the
is
world?
winter time. It's been a bit warmer than it had been earlier in the winter, but we've seen a lot of snow here. And I guess right now, um, thunder is in the air, but looks like Greg is thinking about playing jib or job above goodies.
Yeah, it's interesting. Did he have job aligned first and he switched it?
I
Or
think
was it
he
always
saw both
jib?
of them. Normally, players would rather keep the I than the O.
But this actually, wow. I mean, this does better in a simulation. It might just be because he's setting up OBI on
OB.
top.
Yeah.
So his 7-letter words are gonna. That's a really, really high level adjustment that we've just seen from Greg. I'm very impressed with this
Not
game.
only that, Josh, but the O goes really nicely beneath the Y of Tori.
That's true as well. What a and that's the sort of decision like I pride myself on making sometimes. Just those weird little adjustments that normally you keep an I over an O, especially with an S, but wow, what a great choice. I'm like, this guy's rated 1500?
Greg came to play. And when you watch players of this rating play this well, it shows you how hard it is to win a tournament. Because you're expected, if you're a 19, 2000 sort of player, you're expected to beat someone in the 1500s, what, like 75, 80% of the time. And you can see how well he's playing. That is not easy to do. You have to be really sharp to pull off a win percentage like that against a player this quality.
Yeah, yeah. Really cool play. Yeah, another reason to potentially play the I is yes, we do not like duplication. If we have two I's, we are going to be very sad. If we have two O's, we're going to be slightly less sad. So potentially also a decision based on the fact that there were 5 or 6 unseen eyes at the time, 5 unseen eyes at the time of playing Jib.
Oh, I think we might see a
This
phony come down. This doesn't look
this
like a
is the
word to me.
problem. Yeah, this is not a word. There is a 7-letter word available in these letters,
Yeah, earldom.
but morale does not take D, and Greg has put Oscar on hold, meaning that he is considering whether to let this play go or to challenge it and risk losing a turn.
And it's a reasonable attempt at a phony here by Oscar. He probably had some thoughts it might not be good, but thought, moral, the word is moralized, but sometimes in the Scrabble dictionary, words like this will show up. So I can definitely see why he thought it might be good.
Yeah, and I mean, being on stream and being in this position of having to make a decision like this on a word that's pretty, if it is a word, it's pretty high probability, pretty high likelihood. Must be very nerve-wracking for Greg. So I'm not sure. It looks like he's challenged. He has stopped the clock. Maybe there's a score discrepancy. Yeah, I think they were just correcting a score. I'm
Okay.
not sure. This is one of the things that's hard to tell on stream. It looks like he's accepted, but he might not have. It is allowed to draw tiles, even if your play hasn't been accepted.
I'll tell you one thing, it's a lot easier to know which words are good than to know which words are not good, right? Because you can study words that are good and learn them and go, oh, right, I've seen that. But if a word comes down that you haven't studied, it's hard to know for sure if it's not good. So Greg might be feeling the pressure of the stream, or he just might be just saying, that looks plausible. I'm a bit scared to lose my turn. It is double challenge here.
Yeah. You know what I'm thinking also might have gone into a decision to accept this play. I feel like it might be a subconscious thing, but like Greg consciously decided to play Jib, potentially to set up his own O. And then when Oscar uses the spot he set up, it sort of is in line with Greg's plan. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when something like that happens, it could sort of even change the way you're thinking about a situation. It's possible that I mean that's a very very like psych degree way of looking at the game, but you know me. That could be it as well. And it looks like Greg has accepted because he is considering making a play here. It looks like
Yeah, it's
he's gonna play
hero.
hero.
It's too bad that D wasn't a bit farther out in space because I believe red horse is a valid word.
Indeed.
Which,
It's interesting choice of playing on top, by the way, rather than underneath for the extra points. This is once again setting his S
yep.
up at a point sacrifice of 3, which is an interesting decision.
Yeah, I think it
Kind of like
actually
it.
has a lot of merit. And one thing I like when he's setting up his S's here, he's doing it with strong tiles. This time with ERS, last time with DS blank. So if you're going to be setting up those S lanes, set it up when you can have the tiles to really take advantage of the lane you're creating.
Indeed, yeah. And just a 3-point sacrifice isn't that big. So Oscar here is his post bingo draw of 7 consonants. I think he's looking to play through the I of Nazi with limp. He could play also something with NG. Also interesting to potentially consider keeping that spot open, playing elsewhere and keeping the NG for an ING word. Yeah, the score really close now. I also would like to mention the spot, the situation where Morold or Morald, however you want to pronounce the phony, was played in is one where you have to be very, very sure to challenge because the score is becoming close. Like Greg still has an advantage here. He has an S. He's going up by a little bit. So a great decision. I mean, I don't know, Oscar, what his certainty for Morald or Morald was, but yeah, a very strategic situation, to say the least.
And Oscar left 4 consonants on his rack there, but there were 21 consonants to 20 vowels, something like that when he made his play. So he had a pretty good shot of actually drawing a couple of vowels. He only drew one, but one will allow him to at least score next turn and continue to build his rack to be a bit more balanced. As we go over to Greg, who is having the opposite problem with only 2 consonants.
Yeah, this is not the draw he needed. Keeping RES drawing 4 vowels. He's considering playing a very, very useful, what we call vowel dump, word that uses up a lot of vowels and not that many consonants of AUREI. He's now changed his thought process. Maybe he's considering EAU on top of the RY of Tori. I think Uri, OURIE, under that Y, making Yo, is probably his best play here, but nothing seems great.
I definitely agree. I like that play of Uri. AS, pretty good leave. You're scoring. You play all 5 tiles to go towards that other blank, and there's a lot of nice tiles in that bag. There's a lot of duplicates. You can get stuck with too many N's, E's, A's, I's, but those are good bingo tiles. So I think we might see some longer words played later in the game if the board can stay open.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I mean, EAU isn't crazy. Oh, he's looking at Erugo through the G and goodies now.
Oh, that I don't like. That O is too dangerous to put in space there.
Yeah, the engine's definitely agreeing that Uri would be the right play, but little does Craig know that would give back a playable, I think, 8-letter word of cardings to
Cardings.
the I. Um, Orei as well would do the same in that same spot.
And that
But
would be another word knowledge check.
yeah,
Does carding take an S? It makes sense to card someone at the bar. That's how I would think of it. But he's changed his mind. Now he's going to play. Oh, that's a hook I did not see.
oh,
But
interesting.
it scores a lot less playing it there than it would beneath the Y of Tori.
Yeah, it seems like a blind spot to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if he considered the spot beneath the Y of Tori, I think he'd play there. I just don't see what the advantage is here unless he's trying to keep lanes open, but he's basically in a tie here, so it just seems like a touch of a strange play. And now we'll go over to Oscar and see if he's able to pull the trigger on that maybe counterintuitive word of cardines.
Yeah, I'm sure Oscar, unless he tries to purchase alcohol illegally, has not been through a lot of partings in his life.
Gen
So
Z
he's
doesn't
looking
drink,
at it.
Josh.
He's looking at it. So I don't know. I don't know.
I think he's going to
Obviously,
play
that's
it.
probably not what that means.
It's just reasonable enough.
And he got away with Morold again. Not sure his level of certainty with that word, but he might feel slightly emboldened, or he just knows, or he just recognizes this. the INGS words are some of the hardest ones to remember. How do you know if an ING word is pluralizable? I mean, there are people that study these lists, and I think possibly because Oscar is a member of the Ottawa Scrabble Club, my inside knowledge tells me that one of the members of that club, one of the most prominent members, Matthew Tunnicliffe, does have an exhaustive list of what ING words take an S. And it is possible that he has shared this or has told Oscar to learn these words as sort of a coach. So we'll have to see.
Yeah,
He's staring at it. Time running
I
down.
don't know how far Oscar is into his studying. Uh, he's really considering this play though, and on these sort of plays, I think a good thought, especially if you're not going against, let's say, a 2000 rated player, is that your opponent probably isn't going to know for sure either. So why not pull the trigger? Because there's a few outcomes that can happen. It's good, and then, you get your bingo. It's bad, but your opponent doesn't challenge, you still get your bingo. Or the third one, it's bad, and you lose your turn. So two of those three options really work in your favor.
Yeah, and it's just a 1 in 3 chance, right? That,
If we
that
want to
he
really
challenges.
simplify the math, if there's no genius math fans in the audience, what no loan or maybe someone like that who would put me in my place. He's pulled away from cardings now. I think he might play caged instead.
Which is a great play in its own right. When you're not sure, I mean, it is a situation where if you pretty much know that if your opponent's unsure, they're going to challenge, because yeah, that would have put Oscar up by a lot. So, um, yeah, I think a good decision here. Unfortunate that Cardings was indeed valid, but I like this again, showing maturity for sure.
Yeah, it makes sense. And holding that N is nice for turning hero into heron, the bird.
Um, Sorry, say that again.
The N can hook hero to make
Oh,
heron.
next turn. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But why don't we look at Greg's rack? He's getting low on clock. He's at 7.5 minutes. There's still 28 tiles to be played. So he is going to want to speed up just a bit here so he has some time for those crucial endgame plays, especially because we're in such a close match right now.
Yeah, yeah. Being at 7 minutes at this stage of the game is probably a little bit nerve-wracking. There's still so much to come. There's still threats. You don't have anything obvious to play here,
I
and
think
yeah,
he
lots
found a
of good
good play
setup.
though. BI or BIT beneath goodies, forming job MIDI, and he can play it with obit if he wants. Would you play that T there?
Yeah, I think I might. Yeah, I think I might. I'm not beholden to that T. But it does add a lot of value to the rack. So I understand sacrificing. I mean, it's 7 points, but I understand wanting to keep it, really boosting your chances of a bingo next turn. Yeah, this
I
is a
think
good
I
play.
could defend either way there. That he's so close to bingos above hero, forming she or the, right? The T plays really nicely there. EST as an ending, maybe. And he
Oh,
just drew
wow,
the other blank.
wowie on a 2 tile draw, and the X tuxedo.
Oh, and he has the blank sideways. Will Oscar notice that the tile is not the right way up, which could definitely, especially at the end of the rack, indicate that you have the blank and you just don't notice that it's on its side.
Yeah, I mean, talk more about that. Do you think there's a good chance Oscar's gonna key on to this? That's really funny.
I would notice that if my opponent did it, but maybe my opponents will now start doing that just to get in my head. So there's definitely some mind games that get played in Scrabble, whether people will admit to it or not.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I wonder, like, yeah, I guess Greg doesn't realize. The thing
I
about
think
it is
not. He's
not a
probably
lot of
just thinking,
players.
I have tuxedos and I really hope it stays open because look where that X would slot, right? Not only would he bingo, but he'd bingo for quite a lot, probably over 80 points there.
Yeah, I mean, not I think not a lot of players really look at their opponent's racks during their time, especially when you're on stream and your time's dwindling down. But I mean, it really depends on the player. So
But
I
even if
mean,
you
it's
see
very
that, Josh, how much of an adjustment can Oscar really make here?
Yeah, even if he notices that, I mean, I think if he does, it'll just make his yeah, it'll actually probably inhibit him from thinking straight. I mean, there's nothing you can really do about it if your opponent has that last blank, and you don't know for sure. So yeah, it's probably just a waste of time at the end of the day. But yeah, in Oscar's position, he has 7 1-point tiles. Nothing great to play. The most he can score is what, like 20?
He could do something like
24.
Naga through that G of cage to set up his S, but there's an S and a blank unseen to him, and he might think at this point in the game that it's pretty likely Greg has it, but he might have to just create a second spot because if he doesn't bingo here and Greg does, he's going to be in a very difficult spot. That spot beside hero, you can definitely bingo through there, but it's a bit harder than the spot like forming she.
Yeah, so he's
Oh,
going with Nag. Yeah, two S's and a blank unseen to him. This does make sense. There is the lane above hero, and there is the N hook on hero as well. So I like this as well to keep that A to maximize chances of a bingo. And it looks like Tuxedos has been found by
yeah.
Greg, and he's going to play it.
And one reason that that Rain's leave by Oscar was really nice is look how many E's are unseen, right? And he did end up drawing one. If you're leaving tiles like Rain's, 5 tiles, and you draw an E, you're really poised to draw into a nice rack. He has hernias or nearish. I don't think those play though.
They don't. This is very unfortunate. He has drawn into 2 bingos, both or one of which was just blocked by Tuxedos. And now there's this big spot, 2 big spots, 2 big triples open. Tuxedos has created, and when you're in a position where you're down 80 points, and so you need to bingo, and then there are these big scoring spots staring you in the face. It's it's tough. This looks pretty bad for Oscar, even though there are still 10 tiles to come. It's going to be
I mean, he
hard
could
for him to come back.
score with like Ahi above Tuxedos. The problem is a good player, and Greg has proved to be quite the player so far, is going to be trying to obscure that right side of the board, and then you're pretty much left trying to bingo through that G of goodies, and that's not an easy task.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think though that the play of Ahi seems pretty necessary here. The big issue is, yeah, Greg could very well obscure the rest of what the board's got going on. Just block around the area of that O of hero. There is still a remote possibility after Ahi that Oscar can draw something through that G of goodies, but it looks pretty unlikely. So yeah, I do think you take Ahi here, you take out the scoring spot, but you also need a little bit of luck on your side.
Yeah, you can't let your opponent get that scoring spot. When you're ahead, like Greg is, you want those easy 30, 40 point plays. So Oscar's going to have to take away that spot. If the G of goodies wasn't there, then maybe it would be a different story, but at least it's something. Maybe he could even do a one tile fish to try and open that left side of the board, a tile beside the E of Fleck, maybe something like that to get it open. Not on
Yeah,
this one, though.
you're certainly right that there is some play left on the board, regardless of what happens next turn. It's just that with the point deficit, I just it seems really hard. I mean, Oscar's going to need a lot of things to go his way here, and he's already under 5 minutes.
Can you consider, like, I wouldn't do this, but like just fishing off the H next to the A in caged for like to set up a nice lane for yourself?
You can. My problem with this is twofold. I mean, you're not scoring very well, and
Exactly.
you're letting Greg just score his way to victory, already being ahead 80 points. And no matter what Greg does, as long as he plays 2 or more tiles, even if you do get your bingo down, you will be emptying the bag. There will be nothing left to draw, and it'll be Greg's turn first in an end game where you have a lot of tiles to get rid of. So I think timing wise, making a 1 tile fish here is just certain to lose the game pretty much no matter what.
Yeah, I didn't like the play, but it's the sort of plays you want to be looking for. But here, you just can't let Greg score 40, and scoring above tuxedos is just so easy. Although, when we actually look at Greg's rack, I mean, he could score above the tee with something like Vega, but he'd have a hard time actually taking as much advantage of the spot as a player typically would be able to.
That's true, yeah. But we see Ahi come down. Oscar with 3.5 minutes left to Greg's 6. This might be a little bit of a time scramble at the end here, depending on what happens. And I think Greg, he can do a couple of things here. He can play defensively if he wants. He can play through that O of Hero, something like Vogie,
Hmm.
potentially. Or he can just take the points, play Vagai or Viga, making it or at on the top left. I think that should probably be good enough to win.
My first thought was Vogie. There aren't really scoring tiles left except for the W. So if you're taking out a bingo lane, it feels really hard to lose this game. Whereas if you play Viga, and how many tiles would that leave in the bag? I'd have to do that calculation. So there's 7, so it would leave 3 in the bag. Yeah, he'd still probably win. There's no Q or something like that to draw late, but he could also play VIS with Hero just to take out the lane that way.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a possibility. Lots of options for Greg as time is running out for both players, but he's considering playing
Ooh.
Visage and Flex, which looks very good optically to leave one tile in the bag and score super well. And also, you might be worried about opening. Oh, he's looking at
Okay.
playing it with
He's playing
heroes
it in the top
instead.
right.
Okay, I think this also, or maybe he's playing Vis.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's playing Vis. This is your choice. I like this a lot. Very
Yeah.
defensive.
Yeah, you just want to kill a bingo lane here. Your thought here is as long as he doesn't bingo, I'm gonna win. And there's now 4 in the bag. It he did get rid of his S though, so Oscar does have the case S. Now you could make a play like put the D next to the A in cage to play add and set yourself up for a lane there. Turns out Greg does have the O, the one last tile in the back that could hit that spot, but those are the
Yeah,
sort of plays you might have to look to make. Also, an E beside the F and fleck to set up your D.
yeah, interesting. I think playing EF would be too easy to block right above.
Above, yeah.
Maybe you try, yeah, this looks really horrible, but maybe you try like EAR and EAR through the A in caged and hope
Oh,
that
that's
Greg doesn't have
interesting.
the last N for earn. But even so, those plays are all blockable. You play something from the C in caged, and there goes your setup. So I think if I'm Oscar, I need to try and draw something really specific, like ensnare under the LED of Morald.
Oh,
Um,
well, N snare. LE is not a word though.
no, in snare. So I
Oh,
think
in
I need
snare.
to
Oh, I
like
see.
play DE off or something.
Mm-hmm. ED. Um,
How do you do that? Do you play? Maybe
is there
you play
something
like
through the G that you can hit if you draw something well ending in GER or GED or GES?
earnings of Jinners. Is there anything? Yeah, you can draw that as well. It's just too bad. Oscar has no time to think about
I
these things.
know.
But you need to, I think you just need to pinpoint something you want to draw. And because there's still the fog of war on Greg's end, not knowing exactly what you have after you make a short play, I think that's the sort of thing you need to go for. There are probably other things he can hit under the LED um, of Morald and stuff he can hit through the G, but he's playing NE.
Oh, interesting. The problem
That's
is there's too many
interesting, but
tiles in the bag
yeah,
that go after NE. There's E, G, W, and T. So Greg is almost 100% sure to have a tile there.
yeah, it's unfortunate, and he redraws EN for Denners, which is still not a word, and it still
No.
doesn't play.
Okay, well, Greg is put on the spot here because if he plays 2 or more tiles, he's going to be emptying the bag. So is there any bingo that could defeat him through the G maybe?
Oh, I think we've lost the board and a couple of the cameras. Oh, it's back. But yeah, towage is being played,
That's a great play.
and I think that's the only, or not the only, but the easiest path to victory for Greg here.
Yeah. If Oscar had more time, I would have loved to see him have, let's say, an extra 5 minutes there. And I think he might have come up with a more precise play than any. But I like that he knew that he had to get a lane for himself. He's showing good thought processes there, even if he wasn't quite as sharp as he'd want to be.
Yeah, I mean, just with the time running out, it's just so impossible to sort through all the possibilities there. He found something that opened some space and he went for it, but yeah, not this time. It's a very good game to start things off. I'm
Yeah,
really
can we
impressed
talk
with
about
both
how
players.
well these two, let's call them B or even C division rated players have played? They're playing in the A division in this tournament, and they're proving that uh, they definitely belong as legitimate players in this field.
Absolutely, yeah. Super well played game. I mean, we had the phony of Morald, and that was just pretty much it. Like both players played tremendously, and really, really glad to witness this. And I mean, they're up and coming. They're just improving. So if this is where they're at now, can't wait to see in a year or two.
And I love that we have this Canadian Scrabble Classic, but what I really want to come back is the Canadian Nationals. When are we going to get that going again?
Good question. Yes, the famed Canadian National Scrabble Championship. Last one I think was in 2018. It's
Yeah,
a good question.
we were
Um,
both there, and I think Greg, I don't think was there, but there was, if I'm not mistaken, a player from Manitoba there, or maybe he was from Saskatchewan, Murray something. Uh,
oh, Murray.
he was super
Yeah.
talkative. I played him in one of the first rounds. Uh, it's nice to see some of these players are very talented. They just don't have that much competition if they live in an area without a big Scrabble scene. As he goes out here with Urich, I believe is only out.
Yeah, his only outplay. And Oscar's just going to challenge just to be totally sure. It's the final play. There's no risk associated with challenging. So we will get the challenge cam, I think. Um,
The
oh,
challenge cam brought to us by Art Moore of NASPA.
wait, let's not plug it if there's no. Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait till the next challenge. But we are using. Yeah, we are using. What is it called? I don't remember what the
Well,
what
if
the
we
app.
can't plug Art, how about plugging Josh Greenway and all the work he does to bring events like this to us? Him and Kieran and everyone at Let's Play Scrabble.com, we're very appreciative for the hard work.
Mhm. Yeah, let's cut to the overhead mic and then talk about some other stuff. Let's hear what these guys have to say. Oh, maybe we don't have that either yet. But okay, sorry, I interrupted what was totally a valid thing you're saying. Yeah, we should plug Let's Play Scrabble for running this live stream, running these tournaments. Oh, I think I
Remember
hear.
to like and subscribe so this page comes up on the algorithm.
Okay, I
I
think they're
think
done
we,
talking.
yeah, I think we missed the interesting part of the conversation. Now they're at the point where they look up their phones and see that Morals is invalid.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if there's gonna be any pointing. When they point, we can sort of see what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, sorry. Let's go back to what we were saying. Yeah, Let's Play Scrabble.com is running this live stream, is running this tournament. If you're enjoying it, please like the video. Please sub to the YouTube channel. Turn on those notifications. Visit Let's Play Scrabble.com. Their next live stream, their next tournament after this one is going to be right here in Montreal. At the
Oh,
Montreal
that's a great
Scrabble.
one.
Yeah, are you coming?
I am going to try and come. I have a few travel plans lined up. So it's a pretty busy spring for me, but we'll see what I can make happen.
Cool, awesome. That's yeah. I mean, that's the next big event for Let's Play Scrabble. I'll certainly be here. I don't know if I'm playing. I'll probably play, but if I'm not playing, I'll be right here in the commentary booth. That's for sure. So yeah, thanks again, Jared, for joining me tonight for the first 3 rounds of the Canadian Scrabble Classic. Oh, hello. Next round, I think we are going to feature someone we saw yesterday, Annette Oberstad versus Lydia Karras. I think that's our next matchup, unless something changes. But yeah, we're gonna get that set up. So yeah, tell me, Jared, because you've been where oh, sorry, I might have frozen here. You've been where Oscar and Greg have been. You've climbed up the ranks really, really quickly yourself. So tell me how it feels, sort of when you're like up and coming and you're really just trying to prove yourself on the Scrabble stage.
Um, the first thing that comes to mind is that it's so intimidating how good everyone's word knowledge is. I was one of those players who had played for probably 10 or 15 years daily online, so I already had a pretty good grasp of some of the strategy and playing quickly and stuff like that. And I just sort of assumed that most players, like me showing up at the scene, wouldn't know these words. But you get there, and players rated 1300, 1400, 1500 just know so many words. And it's intimidating because you can think that you know how to play this game, but the word knowledge is just so powerful. It's such a weapon.
I agree. Yeah, the word knowledge is just like that's the one thing that just I'm always just sitting down and I'm like, I am outmatched here. I don't know I don't know as many words as this person probably knows. You don't know that, but you assume so. And so every time that you win a challenge, it's like, oh wow. Or every time you get away with a phony, it just feels like you've gotten super lucky. But it's the strategy, right? That's what you need to like lean into and just continue to hone. And you just get to a point where you're very comfortable with your understanding of the game, and the word knowledge can come later.
And one thing that players today have that maybe they didn't have when I first showed up on the scene is this active online community to really learn the nuances of the strategy. I really improved through channels such as your own during COVID. I had so much time. The world sort of stopped for a minute right around 2020, and I really used that time to learn a lot of the words that I didn't know, but also to really consider strategy in a way I never had. The work that people like you and Mac Meller and Austin Shin, and there's so many people putting on great free content online, and I think it's really led to increased quality of play throughout the scene.
I mean, yeah, I can't disagree with that. If you're propping me up, I mean, like, there's so many people that have just been, showing their skills to the world and or lack thereof, and just really just promoting the game and being online and being present. Yeah, that's something that's extremely important for the newer players. So I'm sure that Oscar loves watching that Will Anderson content on YouTube, that Let's Play Scrabble content on YouTube. Yeah, it's probably helped him improve drastically. Greg probably as well. Even despite the age difference. I mean, everybody's got a phone. Everybody's subscribed to these channels, right? Right?
And I
Right?
think everybody who shows up on the scene who really has a quick rise has someone as a mentor in their corner. I've mentioned on stream before how Jackson was so generous with his time and just he wasn't threatened by me as an opponent. Instead, he decided to take me under his wing and really show me things that I never would have even dreamed of considering. And you mentioned how maybe Matthew Tunnicliffe is the one who's helped out Oscar. I mean, there's so many great players in Ottawa. We've seen Ryan Chapita really shoot up the ranks lately, and Dean and John Stardom. There's just a ton of talent in that city, and here in Toronto, we got a lot of talent. Recently, I'm sure you know, we had our 50th anniversary, the oldest Scrabble club in North America. So I got to show up there. We had about 60 people show up. Was a really nice event. One thing we do in that annual birthday party is we let lower rated players challenge whoever they want to play in the first round. So I got challenged by one of the newer players. I don't think he knew what he was getting into. He did not know the two-letter words, but we still had a great time. I think he got better as the game went on. He was impressed I was able to use all 7 of my tiles, which is definitely a learning curve, but you know what? He won his 2 next games later that night. So if you're if you're new at this game, don't feel too intimidated. There's lots of newer players and lots of people that are just so friendly and really willing to help you out.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, like that's pretty much that guy that you just spoke about, that's pretty much everybody and at some point. And it's really great that we get to watch um maybe not the top expert players all the time, just showing people how the game is played at the highest level. Because yeah, most of the people that play Scrabble, they haven't devoted their entire lives to studying and all that, and it's really important to recognize that and not feel intimidated and challenge whoever you want to challenge and just try to improve wherever you're at. There's a long way up, and it's just a fun process if you're really addicted to Scrabble like so many of us are. It's important to recognize that, and of course, when it comes to streaming, I know that the maybe newer players are far more intimidated and worried about like their mistakes being shown to the whole world, and that is a totally understandable thing. And so that's probably why we get to see usually just the best of the best perform live on stream. But yeah, really, that's a great anecdote. Toronto Scrabble Club, 50 years old this year. Just a huge variety of different skill levels, and yeah, just it's so great to have seen everybody grow. Yeah, I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
so
glad
it
you
looks
played that
like
guy. Glad
uh,
you didn't hold back.
exactly. And I even defined the words for him, which you shouldn't do in a tournament, but at a friendly club, why not? So, speaking of club, I believe Lydia is one of your club mates. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, we can cut to the over the board cam here. I think the Lydia and Annette have sat down. Lydia used to be a clubmate of mine, but I think she's since moved to Ontario. Pretty sure. So I haven't seen her at Montreal Club in a very long time. But yeah, she was one of the people that was there when I started playing, and she was so much better than me at that time. I was very intimidated playing her. Uh,
Can we talk about the average scores here for Annette? 334 to 264 in her first game. That is really low scoring game in Division 1, isn't it?
that is crazy. I really want to see what that game looked like. Either like
Wow.
both players went overtime, lost a lot of points, or it was just an incredibly closed board, both players drawing very terrible letters. That's insane. I don't know. We didn't get to see that game. I don't know if we would have wanted to. But yeah, let's get this one started.
Well, a win is a win for Annette, and she will see if she can get her second win, as she is one of the favorites in this tournament. There's a lot of good players here. Jason Lee, Ari Sinke, Agnes Kramer, uh, and more. And Annette will be
Ooh,
going
and
first in this
more.
one.
I've never heard of
And
them.
more.
Yeah, Annette's first here against Lydia. There is a big rating disparity. Annette, fresh off of her win in Phoenix,
Ooh,
but also off of her loss to Agnes in the Scrabble Showdown yesterday. And we have
but
Jointer.
yeah, I think she's in a good position here. This is going to score 94 points by my math.
Boy, oh boy, what can you do? Yeah, 94 to start the game off has got to feel good. This is a valid word, of course, but yeah, that's a very nice start for Annette. I don't know what
Yeah,
to
and
say.
that hurts for Lydia because she's already, the lower seed here. You can see she's the 11th seed against the 5th seed here in Annette. So she needs everything to sort of go her way for her to pull off the upset. And starting the game down 94 is a really tough blow.
Yeah, especially with the letters she has here. I don't even know where to start. Maybe she's looking at Vrow through the R of Jointer. I mean, or just Val, probably underlapping.
Yeah, Val makes a lot of sense. And you hold that H to go above the E in Jointer, maybe. HOTT, if she can draw an E, maybe an S, it could definitely go the right way. So a pretty good response by her here. The best she can do, I'd say.
Yeah, I think this is her best play. So yeah, not hesitating and not dwelling on the situation. Lydia just has played so much Scrabble in her life that she's been there. She's done that. But
Yeah, like,
Jelcoat's the possibility now for Annette.
and that helps, like, having played so many games like Lydia has. It when you've played so much Scrabble, you know that games go like this, and it lets you relax and know that you still have a lot of time to get back in this. Although if Annette finds her bingo, you listed it, gel coats, and doesn't play the phony of the toothpaste Colgates, uh, this game will really start to get out of hand.
So it's funny you mentioned Colgates. I mean, for me, the way that I find the word gel coat or gel coats is through Colgate. Because Colgate seems like a more logical, I guess, um, sequence of letters, like that
Right.
ATE suffix, and it's a word we've seen everywhere our whole lives. And I think with experience, one of the best ways to remember a valid word is to remember an invalid word.
Exactly. And I also remember the word gel coats by first seeing Colgate's. We'll see if Annette's able to find this. I looks like oh she has the G and L set up. No, it looks like maybe she's thinking gloat, which could play left of vowel forming a vowel. That would be a bit aggressive, but it does look to be what she. Oh no, she would play it beneath vowel forming jog and owl. Okay, that would be make a lot more sense.
Mhm. Yeah, that looks to be her second best play probably in the position. And yeah, if you don't see gel coats, that's certainly a great idea. Keeping the S for jointers and the C with it. C is a good tile for bingos, and also a good defensive tile if she wants to draw something next turn with the C and the S and just create that right angle with jointers. She'll be in a very good spot if she's able to do that.
Yeah, now Lydia didn't quite get the draw she wanted, but she does have some tiles that score. She has the H, she has the K. We'll see what play she comes up with here.
Yeah, it's looking like she can play something pretty insane, otaku, with a
Oh.
vow. Um, that I think is way too dangerous at this score, at this board position. But yeah, there's this really weird possibility as well of playing out owl through owl. I mean, the plays that Lydia's having to find here are just ridiculous.
That would be impressive. I mean, it would set up that back S, but the S is already so powerful with jointers that that spot isn't as scary as it normally would be. I'm not expecting Out Howl to come down. Maybe something like Haku, but even that's giving back a lot no matter where you play it. Um, there is not an obvious play here. Looks like How is what she's thinking of, which does score pretty nicely, but that TTUK leave is quite ugly.
Yeah, I think this is just a situation where, I mean, all of the good plays are really difficult to spot, and being able to overlap and score something and maybe open a little bit more is just what Lydia's decided to do. When yeah, Annette now has Acarids or
Or,
Ascarid on her
yep,
rack, and she spotted Ascarid. So this is
that is a
looking
nice
pretty
find.
pretty difficult.
Knowing these high probability bingos is so important. This is what I was talking about earlier with word knowledge. And now she's showing us that she knows both of them. And she's
All
such a,
three?
all three, Cardia is correct. And she's such a strong player that she's going to consider these minor positional differences, not just throw down the first one that she sees.
Yeah, the highest scoring option, 92, making a vow, does swing that S into the triple triple lane. But I think it might be it might be worth doing. I mean, maybe not in terms of maximizing your winning chances, but given that this is a somewhat long tournament, I think 15 rounds, making decisions like playing Acras in a vow and just trying to win by the maximum amount is a good decision when you have so many other contenders that you're going to be fighting for first against.
Yeah, that's
But
a great point. Building up your spread, especially when you already have a lead, I like that thought process. And the S in the second position, if you played accurate, isn't as scary as if, let's say, it was in the second last position, where you could then end words with IEST or something like that.
Yeah, I just got a word from production speaking about how, I mean, how much of a veteran to tournament Scrabble Lydia is. She's played almost 3,000 tournament games in her career, whereas for Annette, who just started playing Scrabble in tournaments in 2022, I think, is now up to maybe something like 500 games total across organizations. And
Yes, she hasn't played that
despite
many
that, look how much
tournament
she's growing
games,
up.
but if you count all of her online games, club games, like she plays 2 all-day club games a week. And then she plays all the time online. She is addicted to Scrabble. So she's not as experienced in tournaments, but for someone who just started a couple years ago, she has as much experience as you could really have.
Yeah, can't argue with that. The more you play, the more you're familiar with what's going on, strategically, tactically, word-wise as well. It's super useful. It builds up your confidence. And we see it here in action, 204 to 49 after 3 moves apiece.
Oh, and
And
another
Lydia
great
is
draw.
struggling. Oh my goodness, what a draw.
I think now we're sort of going towards like a 500 plus game if Annette can keep up drawing like this. Let's see how high maybe she could get her score.
Yeah, and I guess she needs it after winning with like a low 300 last round. I think it's just what the doctor ordered. But yeah, I don't think there's any chance that Annette's not going to bingo next turn as well, as we see Cart just balancing, keeping singular letters GLUT, getting rid of the duplicate T and the K, scoring a few points. This is going down the drain fast for Lydia, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would have liked to see her. Is Kraut, I think, is acceptable? Kraut?
That's a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one to find, but it would also get rid of that U and double the K. So tricky play there, but looks like she's drawing a bit better this time. We'd love to see an S as the last tile or a blank. Let's see what it's going to be here. She's
Oh, that's
slow
another
playing
E.
us. It's
That's
another
another
E, I
E.
think. Okay, not quite what she wanted, but not as bad as her last 2 racks, as Annette is going to get another bingo down, and poor Lydia's face says it all.
I think she's unfazed, honestly. Lydia does not. It's like a honey badger.
Yeah,
It's
I
just.
mean, there's
I
nothing
think
you
I
can
think
do
she
in
already knows.
Scrabble. There's nothing you can do in Scrabble when your opponent throws down 3 bingos in their first 4 turns. Like, you can't defend against that. It's just, it is what it is. And if you've played nearly 3,000 tournament games, you've had probably, 400 games go like this where it feels like it's over and you know that over half the bag is still yet to be played.
Yeah, and we were talking about this yesterday. There was one game between Annette and Agnes that was just so far in Annette's favor super early. And I did ask co-commentator Chloe the same question. For you, when you're down bad like this, because it does happen, sometimes your opponent's just going to bingo 3 times in 5 turns. What is your approach to, stay level and just try and keep everything in order for the next rounds? How do you approach this situation
So
if you're
my
doing?
thought process always is no matter how bad any one game goes, you can only get one loss, right? Like you can screw up 8 times in a game and just feel just like the worst, but at the end of the game, it's no different than if you lost by 1 point. Sure, spread can matter, but spread is a lot less important than winning the game. So that's one nice thing about Scrabble is that you can play so badly or the luck can just really turn against you, but it's only one loss and everyone's going to lose at least a couple games in pretty much every tournament. And you just gotta, I always tell people who are like new to the scene or struggling with their nerves, just take it one play at a time. That's what Scrabble really is. Just making the best move every single play and trying to not let those thoughts of of previous turns or unrelated thoughts into your head because they don't help you. They just distract you.
Yeah, that's great. You put it very, very well. As Lydia decides to play unlit, get rid of that U, maybe try to open a little bit later on. What's interesting is unlit takes that S hook, right, for sunlit. We might see eventually a hook onto that triple. Oh my goodness, Lydia.
Oh,
I wanna channel my inner Matt Canik. Like, what are you
yeah.
doing? Gotta draw better
And
than that.
folks who like Matt Canik will get to see him call several of the games later in this tournament. You'll also be joined by the great Jason Keller. So it'll be a really fun weekend here on Let's Play Scrabble.
Yeah, I mean, don't tell anyone, but Jared's my fave.
Well, I mean, because
Oh
I'm the
wait,
only
you're
Canadian
Jared.
we're dealing with. It's a
Is it? Yeah,
Canadian
you might be the
tournament.
only Canadian.
And you know what? As we have a moment in this game, because this one has really gotten out of hand, I took a second to look over at the chat, and Roger Coleman was pointing out that his friend, Jason Hazard, upset Adam Logan 466 to 456. That is a 900 rating point difference.
That's incredible. Yeah, and so it could happen. You know, it could have been Lydia. She would have found Jointer, Cardia's, Treading for sure. This could have been Lydia just ahead by 200 early against the overdog as Sib comes in. But that is an incredible, probably just a lifetime highlight for Jason Hazard, depending on how much he cares about Scrabble. Beating the world champion, Canadian champion, multiple time, best Canadian Scrabble player of all time, probably Adam Logan in the first round when
Absolutely.
you're half his rating, that's just an incredible achievement. So
That
Sib
has
comes
got to feel
down.
good. Anyone can win at this game. That's what I really enjoy about it. And anyone can win. Maybe not Lydia in this one
Yeah,
because she's down 200 and she's got four
theoretically.
aces. But if, like you said, if the tiles were different, she could be the one up 200 here. That's definitely possible.
I agree. Yeah. So Sib comes down for 38. Annette did have Pacify with carts for a whopping 50 plus score. That
Oh,
was probably overlooked. But this play of Sib keeping things tight, scoring 40 points, uh, just extremely strong as well.
yeah,
Lydia
pacified.
is
That's a
considering
tough
what to
one.
do with her ease.
I am going to add that to my card box as I watch this match.
Pacify.
Yeah. I would not have found that. So even though I haven't been studying, I don't think I've studied in a couple half years, I still like to throw words in the card box so that when I'm ready to start studying again, they'll be there for me. Lydia's going to exchange here, and I like that.
Very good. Very good decision. You don't need those letters.
No,
You don't need that in your life.
you just don't. Just throw it back, and maybe she can draw one of those blanks. Both the blanks are unseen. That's definitely something in her favor.
Now,
Um,
is Annette going to play Reify here from the R and Cardias? Is she going to have a complete stone
Woo.
cold open a triple triple when you're up 233?
Yes, she
That's
is. Annette is
good.
not scared. That's that poker background.
I mean, the likelihood of a triple triple through the Y is probably it's probably far more likely than the chances of it even phasing Annette in terms of like losing the game afterwards. You would need
She'd
just
still
an
be up pretty
absolute
much a bingo if
massive.
it.
Yeah, what's like the I wish Mac Meller would here to tell me what like the highest scoring triple triple to that Y would be available. Like what about Quayages? Quayages
Yeah,
for
even that
21
should be
times
ahead.
9.
So
I
that
just
is
can't do the math. 21 times 9 is what? 189?
180,
239?
188, 230, yeah, something like that. So
It's not even to put Lydia in the lead if she has that.
no, so that makes perfect sense going with the Nets theme of building up this spread. Lydia finally has some nice tiles, although uh, like you could play Holy, I guess, Fez. Like there are options, but not quite the options you'd want maybe with such nice tiles.
Yeah, Holy, they also in that same spot. Maybe slightly better to keep the OE with all of those E's that she just threw back still in the bag. Hopefully she doesn't draw. I hope she doesn't even draw a third E here, but I think it's very likely that she will.
I'd like to see
Unfortunately.
her draw ID and then throw down Holy Tide.
Ooh, that'd be beautiful. All right, we see a C, S.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we're cooking.
Okay. I like how she slow plays us on that seventh tile. I never know what it's going to be. In this
Yeah, she
case,
takes the time. She's like, oh, one letter at a time. What does that help? How
yeah.
does that help me? What does that give me? I like it.
Okay. So over to Annette here. She wants to get rid of that V, I'd say. Um, Mid, maybe? Setting up her I? Maybe just leaving it at MI. Okay, that makes more sense.
Interesting. I would have been partial to throwing that V back, but I think she notices how many E's are left. If you add an E to that leave of ADIRV, like you're gonna you're gonna bingo a significant amount of the time.
You are, but there's pretty much just the one lane to bingo to, which is the new lane she just opened. You could also bingo to the D of Cardias, but um,
Don't forget your
it's a bit
hooks,
harder to
Jared.
pick.
There's still a
Well, she
vowel.
drew. Oh yeah, sorry. I should be more aware of that. I saw a vow earlier and I forgot about it. This is something that can happen in the game. You can see a hook. This is an easy one, but you can forget about it. And it's a good thing to maybe write on your score sheet when a hook comes available. And then it's a lot harder to forget about it. And hopefully Annette won't forget because she can score another, 67 points or whatever the math is going to be here.
Yeah, rivaled is on tap for a nice 75, making a vow.
75. Wow.
But yeah, she's gonna alphabetize and see if she recognizes the rack. You might fall into a trap of playing valider here, which is not an acceptable word in the North American lexicon. As Lydia draws a blank. All right. Some good things happening on Lydia's end, finally.
In
Yeah,
the
let's see
first
if Annette
game,
finds her bingo.
we saw the power of those blanks. Greg drew both those blanks and he used them both to bingo. And that was really the difference in this game. And so sometimes players can say, like my opponent got two blanks, that's why I lost. But there's more to Scrabble than just the blanks. And I think this game is a perfect example of that.
Yep, still both blanks out, and that still has 364 points after 7 turns. That's an average score of 52. My math is correct.
Wow.
That's pretty high.
I hope she doesn't miss rivaled here because she's been playing so well. And this is definitely a findable word. One thing in her to bring up for her is that she's played a lot of Scrabble in the last couple of days, right? She played that 6 game set against Agnes, and I think she also played the 5 game early bird earlier today. So she has played quite a lot of Scrabble.
Yes, she has. And of course, this is a common English word, but like I did mention yesterday, Annette's first language, Norse. It is not English, and so you might see some decisions where maybe a native English speaker would have chosen differently, um, such as like challenging Ganache against Agnes. But yeah, Avid comes down. Unfortunate miss of Rivaled. It's possible she saw it, and it's possible she forgot about the A hook on a vow. More likely than not, I think this was just a flat out miss of the 7-letter word. But it does not matter, and she knows it doesn't matter. I don't think she's trying too hard here, just trying to conserve energy. She's got the game locked down.
I always say if you're going to miss a play, do it when you're up over 200 points.
Has Annette outscored her last game with 40 left in the bag? Yes, she has. It's crazy. Crazy how Scrabble works.
And look how well she's drawing again. Oh, the cue. See, she didn't slow play us. She just put it down right away. Lydia's going to play off 2 of her clunkier tiles here with Peck.
Mhm.
And she's getting closer to a bingo. Hopefully, she remembers that avow hook because the board is pretty close. Unless
Yeah,
someone is
other
going
than
to
that,
fight. spreadings.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're gonna see, I think, Annette play equal here through that U of unlit if she spots it. She's looking at Qua, but I think she will, if she looks a little bit harder, she'll see that equal is a little bit more defensive. Oh, she's not looking harder.
Okay.
Okay. That's fine, I guess. The problem with this is the hooks. She doesn't have the hooks. There's an I hook, a D hook, a G hook, uh, a
You know
Y
what,
hook.
Josh? We've been talking about the lanes on the board, but I just remembered that HAO now takes the back S, doesn't it?
Oh, that is true.
And to
I
that
was not thinking of
ST,
that.
and Annette is pretty close with her tiles to actually hitting like something like Lyriest. So we'll see what she's able to draw, and if she considers that as a spot. Oh, the U. She was close to making me seem rather prescient.
Hmm. And Lydia here with no vowels is just considering saying, F it. Let's just blow our blank. I think this is a very, very good and mature decision just to play twang for 38. When you have no vowels, 38 is so much better than 0. And I mean, this game is long over. So why not hit 200 and just try to hit the next echelon up 300 by the end of the game. I think that's having that sort of goal is another way to sort of deal with these lopsided games. Like, oh, let's just try to score 300. Let's just try to make it reasonable, kind of thing.
Yeah, it keeps you motivated. That was definitely the right decision there, I think, to burn the blank. There, she just didn't have anything else to do except exchange. When you have all those consonants, you either have to play off multiple of them, and you need open vowels to do that, and there just weren't any on this board. So I like the decision. She's rewarded with the X. Maybe she'll be, oh, and the other blank. So, wow, if she knew the other blank was coming, she wouldn't have even thought about burning it. So,
It's funny. Probably Annette might have been thinking in this spot that one of the likeliest letters for Lydia to have is the other blank with just an awkward consonant
yeah.
that didn't form a 7-letter word. So I mean, now it's come true if that's what she's thinking of as well.
Yeah, she
But
could have had blank X, for example.
mhm. But yeah,
But let's
maybe
see
maybe
how
would have been a little bit better for Lydia to just play off at LV. I don't know. I like the decision of 20.
I
As
like
L
Twang a
U.
lot. And I like this play of Lee by Annette. She's not using too much brain power at this point, it doesn't feel like. She's just going to leave a nice leave. And RUSC can definitely bingo to that T of jointers or to the D of cardias. So I think she's in a pretty nice spot with that leave.
Yeah, I agree. And Lydia with that blank and that X and that S, still only one vowel. She's gonna want to find a spot to get rid of that X, but there really isn't much. She can drop it with XED next to the ED, avid and peck, creating XED, that word that a lot of people don't understand why it's valid. But XED is a valid word. I think it was a misprint. I think that's why it became a valid Scrabble word. I think that's the lore.
Interesting. XED you're talking about?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
that
it's
just seems
supposed to
like
have an apostrophe or something, but it didn't.
it shows up in crosswords all the time. So if it shows up in crosswords, it feels real to me.
Yeah, that's another Scrabble adjacent pastime hobby. I'm sure there are a lot of crossword fanatics watching as well. So yeah, Jared, you've created a bunch of crosswords in your day, some very successful ones.
I have, and I have my New York Times debut coming up on March 11th. So if you
Wait,
are,
really?
I do, and I hope everyone is as excited to solve it. So it is
Gosh,
pay to play. You will need a membership, but Tuesday, March 11th will be my New York Times debut.
amazing. That's so awesome. I had no idea. I'm glad I brought that up. Congrats.
Thank you, thank you. I am very excited. There are a lot of crossover talent between the Scrabble and cross worlds. Trip Payne is probably the most successful of the crossword people, but we mentioned Jason Keller. When you have him on the broadcast tomorrow, you can ask him about crossword. He goes to the tournament, the crossword tournament every year, and he was the top Scrabble finisher at that event last year. Other players there were like Mac Meller and Judy Cole. It was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, Crossword Championship is coming up. I heard a lot about that last time I was in Toronto. Sounded like a lot of fun. As Net's thinking here, she has that F hook for Lee to play Flea, but she decides instead to just get rid of that U, score some points with And Lydia, I think, is gonna bingo
Oh,
here if she
yeah,
sees a vowel as a hook.
I think she does. She's got it lined up. What a beautiful find here of bandana. Uh, the longer it takes her to play it, the more I get scared she hasn't seen the hook, but there it is.
Yeah. Also possible would be abandon. Very
Okay,
nice
yeah.
spot. In the same area for a little bit more, but beautiful find of bandana for 82, making that final A the blank. This will bring Lydia over the top, bring her to 309. And
There
Annette's
we
not
go.
gonna
There's a
looks like a
reason
great
she's
response.
played so many games. It's because she's so good at this game and she's showing it there. We love to see it. We don't like seeing these blowouts. It's not fun as an audience. We want to see the close games, but at least we've been able to see both players make some really nice plays here.
Yeah, indeed. And yeah, cutting the deficit to 150 after being down almost 300. I mean, that's a huge plus in this pretty awful game for Lydia, but she's taking it in stride, and that's happy for her, I can tell. And I think she's really just gonna play funds here, overlapping bandana, making FAUN and NA. But that
Yeah,
would empty the bag completely, so she might not do that.
it's hard to talk about what the best strategy is when the game is so out of reach. Um, I'm the sort of player who just doesn't focus enough on spread, maybe to my own detriment, and just throw down something like funds. The pool is just so ugly. There's nothing really to be afraid of.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the
Look,
right choice.
look at those unseen tiles to Annette's perspective. E, E, E. Then there's also three O's. And Lydia's just drawn some terribly ugly racks just the whole game, hasn't
Yeah.
she?
At least Annette's gonna have a little bit of a taste of that on her final rack. She's about to draw IEER. I want to see
So
if we
the
oh, she's
the
gonna make a
double
face.
triplicates here.
Yeah, this is
Um,
this is hilarious. I wonder how many turns this game is gonna take to end now. It's like we're in the
yeah,
end game,
that
but
is a good point.
neither
We might
player
still
has
be
like
here a
anything.
while. Maybe Lydia will play Yon and Yu and get rid of a few of those tiles. Um, she could
Yeah.
play Pood.
The engine says to play YO next to the AD of treading and keep
Right.
POOUE.
I
But
mean,
your play of
it's
U is a little bit not too far behind.
yeah, like her play there would score the most, and there's nothing she really has to be afraid of blocking. So that makes a lot of sense.
I do wonder though, this engine isn't the most powerful one. In endgames like this where the board is very close and both players have a lot of the same letter and a lot of difficult things to work through, there's a possibility that one player is not going to be able to play all of their letters. But I think in this situation, it should be fine. As YO, the best play
Yeah,
recommended by the engine
star
comes
play
through.
from Lydia. When you're wondering if all the tiles will come down, you want to look at the least flexible tile. I think it would be the U here. There is that spot next to the TA to play something like Tau. I think all the tiles will get down, especially with that D in space. You can make a long word to sort of get rid of some of these tiles.
I don't know. My engine is a little bit confused now. I think we might get to a situation where Lydia's not going to be able to play her U or one of her O's or something. It is possible, but um, yeah, who knows what's gonna happen
The
here.
U also fits beneath the two T's of jointer and gloat for tut.
Mhm.
Um, those O's would go like from the L of unlit down, forming Lu. I think if you're Annette here, you could just play something like re or ray, R-E-E or R-E-I above the A-O of how.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. We'll see. I have
Yeah,
no idea what's gonna happen.
it's definitely exciting in an irrelevant sort of way.
Yeah, in a brutal and irrelevant sort of way. Yeah, exactly.
She might play the R-E next to the F-A to form fair. Yeah, that is what she's going to play here.
All right, seems good to me. And now, yeah, Lydia has a very nice option of Oko through the C and Cardias if she
Oh,
spots that, leaving a U and an E.
that
But
would be
yeah,
nice.
just trying to see, there really aren't that many spots
I think all the
for.
tiles are coming down. I have faith.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It just looks really weird. Anyways, we're trying to see who we're gonna have in round three. I think maybe next matchup is going to be Annette again. Yeah, I think Annette versus Ryan Chapita. Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, the two
Um,
of them play together a lot on Woogle, so that they're very familiar with each other's games. So that could definitely lead to, oh, food is coming down, and so she'll have a bunch of spots for the U. So
mhm.
um, she will go out next turn.
Yeah, a bunch of spots left for the U. This actually gives Annette a really nice uh, between lap. I don't know if you call it overlap or underlap. Peon is a word, so she can put her E right between the P and the O-N.
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
Oh, what a play.
Beautiful. What a way to end it.
And Annette's coming off a big win in her tournament. I think it was in Arizona. And
Yep.
Ryan
Yep.
also had a big win recently, didn't he?
Yeah, Ryan won in Madison, Wisconsin. I was there to witness it.
Yeah, like so both these players are on top of their game. They've, like I said, they've been playing against each other a lot, and I think it's going to be a great matchup.
And we see the center, the symmetrical final play of Tut, sort of aesthetically very, very pleasing to me.
Oh,
Um,
Josh Greenway's pointed out that Annette and Ryan finished 1-2 in Phoenix. So in that tough field, they were the top two finishers. And we've been speaking about other players and their rises, but Ryan has to be one of the top risers. He's been killing it lately.
yeah, let's listen in on the players at the end of this game.
Yeah, that was nice. Good fight. Very good fight. At least you saved your score a little bit. Before the fight. Yeah, I didn't consider this not too bad.
Except that I had the ugliest rap in the world after I played Penta.
Yeah, I know. I mean, at that point, at least the game was over. When some of those close and then you drop shit, you can't win, right? Yeah. Just not much to do there. Not much you can do.
All right, yeah, not too much to say, of course, about that game. Yeah, just a really, really strong start from Annette, but Lydia did a great job. Um, yeah, shrinking the deficit to under 200 points in the end and scoring more than I think Annette scored in her first game, right?
Yeah, in the loss, Scrabble's funny like that.
Yeah.
Uh, both players did really well. Um, I think our producer is saying that we're not going to take a break here. We're just going to talk a bit longer, and then we'll have our final game of the night, um, which will be Ryan versus Annette.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So once again, I'm Josh Sokol. You see my name tag. That's great. Here with Jared Capel. I'm in Montreal. You're in Toronto. Really great to have you on for this broadcast of the 2025 Canadian Scrabble Classic, brought to you by letsplayscrabble.com. Feel free to visit that website, by the way. If you're anywhere near or plan to be anywhere near the East Coast of North America, these guys run the best tournaments along with the best live streams. in the Northeast. So feel free to visit the website. Next tournament after this, right now the players are in Belleville, Ontario. May, during Memorial Day weekend, we will have the Montreal Scrabble Fest. I think the 3rd year that this tournament is being run, and right in my hometown. So I'm really excited for that. There's going to be, I think, a total of 32 games if you play all of the birds and late birds, if there are any. And of course, everyone is allowed, Americans, Canadians alike. We do have all these Canadian flags plastered. This is the Canadian Scrabble Classic, but all tournaments in North America are open to anybody. And yeah, tournaments taking place in a downtown hotel. Montreal is an amazing city. I fully recommend this tournament. I am not biased at all, right?
No, it's one of my favorites. I've had so much fun there. I've even won that tournament. It is a great time, a great city. You don't have to speak French, although it does help. But Montreal is very anglicized, and you can definitely get by with English. And just great nightlife in Montreal, great people. The tournament directors often run fun events. Like I went on a group walk. We went down to the water to Old Montreal. I've been there before. I love Montreal. I go a lot. But if you haven't been, it's definitely a city I'd recommend you checking out. It's probably the most fun city in Canada, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say so too. Yeah, it's fun over here. Lots of fun restaurants as well. Great places to visit. Some European vibes. But pretty much everyone speaks English. May 23rd through 26th. Save the date. If you've never been to Montreal, I fully endorse it. Totally recommend it. I will personally greet you. Will I do a meet and greet? Yeah, I'll do something like that. You guys want it? Bagels, just everything.
And if you guys want to know more about Josh, he is playing music online. You should be following him on, is it Twitch? What is your music channel, Josh? Share with the audience. They want to follow you.
Yeah, I'm not here to promote myself
I
and
promoted my
most,
crossword.
my most intimate hobby of music playing. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have started streaming music on Twitch recently. I'm really trying to hone that skill and passion of mine into something maybe potentially monetizable in the near future, but also just to share my love and passion, just like I do with Scrabble. Thank you for the plug, Jared.
You
It's
are
not
welcome.
yeah.
I mean, it feels like everyone plays music in Scrabble, and I know you run at the Nationals every year. You run a little music, I don't know what to call it, like a open mic sort of night.
Yeah, just like a musical talent show. We call it the Musicale. I've been running that it's going to be my 10th year running the Musicale this year in Hanover, Maryland. So really looking forward to that. If you guys are in town, if you guys are playing, please come and watch. If you're musicians, please come and play. Yeah, save the date. What date is it? I can't say save the date, but live in Hanover, Maryland, Scrabble Players Championship 2025, run by NASPA Games. It's going to be a good time. I'll also try to play basketball. I remember we played basketball before.
We did in Chicago, I believe, at one of the Word Cups.
Yeah, we also played
that
in
was-
Montreal.
And yeah, we did play Montreal. It was me and Noah against you, and me and Noah didn't do too well. Josh is taller than he looks on the screen, and even though Noah and I are pretty tall ourselves, we were not able to get too many shots off. So I do love sports. I just wish I was a bit better at them.
Hey, look, it was the chemistry. You guys just didn't have the coordination. That's all right.
We'll get there. We're
We'll
working
get
on it.
Yeah, as the players are still not ready for their games, tell me something, Jared. I know you took somewhat of a hiatus from tournaments. I'm doing something kind of similar. Like I'm not going to be playing, I think, nearly as much in the next few months. But you're back studying. So are you like back for good? Because like we want you back. I don't know what we did to
I am
lose
not
you.
back studying, but I am not gone for good. I've been playing a lot on Woggles. I really want to get a speed Scrabble tournament going. That is where my my true passion is. That's what brought me to the game in the first place was, 3-minute games online. And whether it's a 1-minute online speed tournament or a 3-minute, that is what I really want to do. But I also really miss all my friends. I do get to see a lot of people here in Toronto, but I haven't gotten to see people in other cities too much. So I definitely want to get back to tournaments. I will actually get to visit Annette in Las Vegas in April, so I'm excited to see her there. We have a bunch of friends going, so that should be fun. But other people I haven't really gotten the chance to see too often. So I will be back. I have not quit. I don't think I'll ever be back at the level I was before, but that's just because maybe my interests have shifted um, really into this whole crossword scene. The New York Times one will be my 9th published puzzle, but I've sold 2 more um, that are also coming with the LA Times. So those will be 10 and 11, and just want to keep going from there. It's so much fun. I wish I could go back to that crossword tournament again this year, but I'll be elsewhere. Won't be able to make that one. So many things you want to do in life. Do you have that feeling ever where there's a million things I want to do? I love life. I'm having such a great day. Life is good. We have so many fun people in the chat. I get to see my friend Josh. Haven't seen you enough lately. Always love when you come visit us here in Toronto. And let's go back to Scrabble for a second. So this is a tournament where the top half of the field is rated a lot higher than the lower half, right?
Mhm.
So the first 2 games of the tournament, the top seeds get paired with the lower seeds, and we see maybe a couple blowouts like we've seen. But now in round 3 is when I think the top seeds start getting paired against each other. So how do you feel in a tournament like this when you know that some of your games are going to be against players that you really have to beat basically every time if you want to have a good tournament? Does that phase you, or do you prefer that almost?
Oh, I like it. I mean, I think my favorite format is an open format, so where everybody is playing in the same division, and yeah, as a top player, you get to play people you would not normally get the opportunity to play, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I think like you said, anyone can beat anyone, so there's always that possibility you're going to lose to an underdog. And it's always fun to just play a diverse group of opponents. And I'm not one of the there are some top players that you play against them and they're just doing everything in their ability to make you feel uncomfortable and intimidated.
You're
When I'm
not
playing
one of them?
I don't think I am. When I'm playing beginners or lower rated players, I make an effort to try and just make them feel comfortable and try and give them the chance to show their chops. And I don't know. Maybe you have a different experience
No,
with
no, I'm just
than
teasing
me,
you.
but
You definitely
I
have
enjoy
a
it.
way at the table that brings a lot of energy, but you're not like, let's say, our friend Jackson Smiley, who would put down, let's say, 4 phonies against one of these lower rated players in the early rounds to build up a spread. Um, no
Yeah.
shade meant by that. That's perfectly legal if he wants to do it. And look at that. Right as we get into some awkward territory, our producer lets us know that we are done with that awkward talk. We are ready to play Scrabble.
Awesome. Fantastic. Great. Yeah. So, okay, we have Ryan Chapita here playing against Annette Overstad. I'm trying to see right now who's going first. We still don't have the stats updated, but in just a second I'll be able to see. Yeah, okay. So Annette will be going first in this game, and we can just we don't have the stats yet, but we do know that Annette just won 546 to 345 officially. There was some missed scores there. I think Annette had 9 more points than she was supposed to have.
And
In that
Ryan
game.
did lose his second game, so he's 1-1. The
Okay.
2-0 players right now are Christopher Sykes, Annette, Agnes. So both Annette and Agnes we saw yesterday, they're both at 2-0. Joan Buma at 2-0. Hank Hees at 2-0. And Jason Lee's game hasn't been updated, but he's at 1-0. So
Mhm.
Ari Sinke did lose a game already. He's the 3rd seed. It's Jason, Christopher, and Ari as our top 3 seeds in this event.
Yeah. Yeah, Jason Lee, the only 2000 player in the field, hailing from Montreal. He's actually the guy that taught me how to play. But yeah, we're ready. We're ready for the players. If they're ready to play, let's do it. And this is gonna be a banger. I can just tell. Maybe I shouldn't jinx it, but yeah, these two have been playing all the time recently in tournaments, online. I think Annette even flew to Ottawa to meet Ryan to come to this tournament. So yeah, very good friends. They've been going to the same events, and I'm sure they're both stoked to play each other.
I could already see they're laughing at the table. They're both in their winter sweaters. It's Canada, it's been snowing, and Annette has a lot of scoring tiles. WKMD.
I'm scared.
Woked doesn't seem like a word to me. Wokedom?
Wokedom, yeah. That'd
Like,
be
that's
funny.
not a bad phony. Would Ryan challenge Wokedom? I guess he
Yeah.
probably would.
Yes, you would. That would be hilarious, though. Yeah, engine recommending just playing Walk, keeping DEMO, which is a very, very strong
Yeah.
quartile combo. But yeah, Wood or Mode, taking the points, duplicating, or doubling, not duplicating. I guess technically duplicating, doubling one of those letters on the double letter score when you can play a 5-letter word opening the game. If you have a high scoring letter, that's going to run up your points pretty nicely. So yeah, all these options seem pretty close, and that's going to go for Mode. I think the more balanced and standard decision here.
Yeah, I would have went with Walk, but I think it's just a stylistic choice. This looks perfectly fine. I like that she was holding the E if she played Walk to turn it into Woke, but I would have really liked to see Wokedom. And I think that should be added, maybe in the 2034 update to the dictionary.
Yeah, maybe.
So Ryan can play Abound now above Mode, forming AWBE and OD. That would be my first thought.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that's the play for sure. Scoring 28, scoring more than anything else, getting rid of the U, the B, the duplicated N. I really like this. This does look maybe possibly like a potential 8-letter word. Like you have bound, you have bond, you have potential for a compound word here, but I think Ryan's going to eventually come to the conclusion that his best plays are not bingos.
Yeah, but he does want to look, especially with that E floater. That's the tile that forms ED words, like so you could end words like that. And you want to take a bit of time here, but not too much time. He does have a bound now set up on his rack.
Yeah, so he has NA bound. I think, yeah, I think you put the A on. I mean, the only question is, do you just play bound for 6 less, just to not set up that AW next to the triple letter score, which is what Ryan's going for. It's a little bit, it's a 6-point sacrifice, but the defense is better and the leave is better. So I think I still play a bound, but I think it's pretty close between the two.
Yeah, I'd also play a bound, but once again, I think it's sort of stylistic, and I have no problem with this play. So Annette now has some really nice scoring tiles. Maybe not the perfectly balanced sleeve, but definitely some tiles she can work with.
Yeah, this is I've never had this rack before. I can tell you that. Close to like Goshawk, the Zed right over here. But she's looking at Zag on top of the
Zag, okay.
MO. You're like, you do better than that. You could
Yeah,
play
you don't
Kazoo.
have to play the Zed on this turn. You definitely can. I wouldn't play as quickly as she is here. There's just, with tiles this good and like the board nice and open, there's so many spots you want to be looking at. I'd definitely like to see her slow down a bit and consider a few more things.
She can play Goshawk with a
She could.
bound and just keep the Zed. It's probably not worth it. Get rid of the S like that. She could also just play Hawk,
Hawk,
making a
yeah.
bound. Zag looks pretty good. All those plays seem pretty close. Kazoo, I like Kazoo. I'm partial to that. Getting rid of the K as well, and just scoring some extra points. But yeah, this looks good to me.
Yeah, there's so many little differences that really don't seem like much, but they do add up. I definitely think this is a good play. It's maybe not exactly the best, but it definitely does a lot of nice things. I know Annette likes to keep the board a bit closed, and this definitely achieves that. As Ryan now has the X, he won't be able to get over to that triple word score to the right, but he can play something just like racks beneath mode.
You can play it on top too for the
On
extra points.
top,
That's what he's
sorry.
doing.
Yeah,
It is a little dangerous setting up the S hook on a go and maybe that lane on top, but it's certainly worth the eight extra points, I think.
absolutely.
And the net
Um,
goes to Sokol.
Sokol, yeah. Holks, Holks, if she wants to burn her S. She can play above Ago, or Ago, I guess is how you pronounce it, if she wants to burn her S.
So she has a really cool option of schlong with
Oh,
balance, keeping the K. That would just be hilarious and awesome if she found that.
I would love to see that go down, but
37 points for that. Keeping the K. The K isn't the best letter in
no.
Scrabble, but it's not a terrible letter. You can score with it. You can balance with it. But yeah, something like Hulks looks very good to me. Maybe Hongs, maybe Klongs as well. Just I think you want to get rid of your S here. I know that Annette likes to keep her hooks, likes to keep her S's and play tactically and maintain those threats. But I think it's certainly worth taking the points here at a close score.
Yeah, she's looking at Honks over Hulks. Maybe she didn't see Hulks. Maybe she's thinking there's already an N on the board, but NG just goes together pretty nice. So I definitely lean towards Hulks if she had seen it.
Yeah, this is certainly a miss. If you're gonna keep a G, you much rather keep an N with it than an L. So I think this was just an oversight. She did see the spot she wanted to score there, but missing Hulks and Coles, its anagram, certainly could have done a little bit better there.
Okay, so Ryan has one of these tough racks. These are the racks that Matt Canik is always saying he loves to watch players play on, where it's sort of an intermediate turn where you're just trying to play off a few tiles, but there's so many different ways you can do it. That'll be interesting to see what he comes up with.
Yeah, I think in this spot though, I think you really just play NONE to the right of the HON. Just take some points here. I think there's not much else going on. Maybe just one in the same spot.
You could
One.
play those exact same tiles beneath mode, forming AGON and going across to the right.
Oh yeah, that's even better. That's 25 instead of 22. So yeah, that looks like the play for sure if you spot that Agon WOBENODE. Nice spot there.
We'll see if he plays that. I also like your thought of one, just because EARN is such a strong leave, going for bingos on upcoming turns.
Yeah, EARN, a very nice combination for sure.
It's not easy here. You really want to be going for some sort of front hook for a go. Is it just the S?
Hmm.
I know the D got removed.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just yes.
so it's just the S. So that spot isn't quite as dangerous as it could be, but that spot is available for double doubles, right? You can play through like if you had a W, you could play Wagoner and then score a whole bunch of points.
That's true.
So
Yeah, there are some possibilities like that. Okay, we
seems like
see
open.
open. That's a nice find,
Yeah.
at the very least. Wasn't on my radar.
No, it wasn't on my radar either, and it doesn't pluralize, I wouldn't think. It's got to be an adjective.
Right.
So I think that's his thought process there. He can open a bit without actually giving the S, but um, I would have just rather seen something like one to keep bingo lanes open and keep that A.
Yeah. He did draw one vowel, and he does have crenelles on his rack. But yeah, you can walk into a lot of situations keeping only one vowel, where you're drawing three consonants or four consonants, and you're getting into some trouble there. So probably yeah, a slight adjustment possible there as well for Ryan, but a very nice find. Now Annette, this is going to be a board vision check for her. Oaken just gave her a really sick spot to play Feign, Feign, making Ion and GAD. Just a
Ooh,
very
beautiful.
bizarre looking overlap. Putting an I or even an E on to make Eon and Ion, to me that's one of the harder things to spot, but it comes up all the time.
Yeah, you don't think about putting that G in front of that N there. So I definitely did not see that. It looks like she's just thinking of Fig. Not sure where she would play that.
Rami
Maybe.
and Dog, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is decent as well. You can also play GIF. That is a Scrabble word, right? GIF?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. You can play that to the right of honks.
Yeah, that looks pretty good, and it will be important to see if Annette does play in that area of the board, because Ryan has
Yeah.
just seen his playable 8-letter word of encloser.
Yeah, he found it. And he did that thing that some players do where they find the bingo and then they sort of sit back or maybe exhale a bit. But Annette seemed to be looking down. I don't think she would have read anything from that. She's going to change her mind and play off both of her E's here.
I feel somewhat responsible for this decision. I've seen it in a few games that we featured Annette. She's very much first looking to get rid of her G among
It's your
other
fault.
possibilities. And I think this might be just her disliking the G a lot and yeah, just wanting to play it off at all costs.
Well, he has the bingo, and we're starting to see the smile. I think in a few seconds we're going to see the bingo come down.
If he's sure of it, I think the smile is, I'm not sure if this is a valid word, but I'm going to try it. It is coming down.
So that'll give him a bit of a lead here, although not too much of a lead, and it'll be Annette's turn. So we definitely have a
He's
nice
on
close
hold.
game here.
He's on hold at least immediately. I saw her lips say hold, but I think it's been released. Yeah, it's now accepted. So this is a valid word. Sometimes it's hard to know for sure with those ER words, but yeah, very nice decision by Ryan to play in closer. And now back to Annette.
Yeah, sometimes with those sort of words, people also wonder about the EN front instead of the IN front. But this is the common way you would spell a word like this. So,
Oh wow, we hear from
uh-oh,
production
coffee
something
housing.
interesting. Yeah, you want to talk a bit about this?
Yeah, like it seems like Ryan might have said, not sure if this is good when he played it, or maybe Annette said that. Oh, look at this play. Is she thinking of something similar to this, or is this the right
Yeah,
word?
it's funny. Someone in chat mentioned filariad.
Right. Oh, and
Ryan
look at him looking
on
up.
hold.
He's like, this sort of looks right, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is very interesting. Let's see what Ryan decides here. He's going to
He's
challenge this. He's
definitely
saying
holding.
something. He's smiling. Yeah, these two players love getting into each other's heads.
Yeah, so technically you don't want to. Oh, he's going to challenge. Good challenge, Ryan.
All right.
Technically, you don't want to be coffee housing. You shouldn't say things like, "Not sure if this is good." It's just not proper Scrabble form in club games or casual games with friends for sure. At a tournament, probably not advised, but neither player will take offense to it just because they're so close. Annette, I don't think she was trying to phony there. I think she really thought it was good.
Mhm.
It definitely raised my hackles seeing that play. I think I also would have challenged it. Just it looked almost right, but not quite. And
Mhm.
like you said, it needed that extra A,
Yeah, that extra I, filariad.
extra I.
So yeah, this is a huge swing in Ryan's favor for sure. Um, and yeah, good challenge on his end. Finally you saw the debut of the Canadian Scrabble Classic challenge cam. We did see it yesterday, but that was a different event. So thanks again to Art Moore for creating the website wordjudge.me, uh, who we're using as I'm sure you guys saw the forehead. Don't worry, Josh and Art are good friends. I'm sure he's okay with being used in that, objectified in that manner. But yeah, kind of weird.
Okay, Ryan didn't really seem to have too many options here, so he's just going to play vote. You definitely want to consider what your opponent's tiles are when you're playing here. This gives back a drift, um, where the F will be able to double,
Also
but
give back Philaroid, if
oh,
Annette thinks that's what she's thinking of.
that word I don't know.
Not a
Philaroid.
word. Not a word.
Oh, okay.
But
I was going to say, um, yeah, so we'll see if she finds a drift. It's not a typical letter pattern. The same way I was talking about the G before the N, you don't really think maybe of a six-letter word starting with A here. So,
yeah, it's kind of. I'm sure.
oh,
Yeah, Annette's found it.
yeah.
She's just so good at finding those weird plays. Also, airlift possible in that same spot. But a drift looks great, and it'll keep her in the game if she plays it.
But it's taken away our ability to play through that AGOG, like pedagogy, something
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah, pedagogic, demagogic.
Yeah,
That's
that
funny.
would have
I
been
was just thinking of that
such a fun
myself.
spot. Yeah. You know what it is? It's the Josh effect. When I'm commentating with you, I'm looking across the board for extensions from Limp or plays through Agog because I know that you're always able to come up with them, and just one of these times I want to be the one to find it.
Yeah, no, you did it. You did it. Congrats. But yeah, that would be amazing. Like that sort of play, just sandwiching a word already on the board, scoring massively. Just those are the sorts of plays that are like the lifeblood of our game. Wouldn't you agree? Just like that sort of
Oh,
flashy,
that's
flash.
like it reminds me of golf, right? Like you could have this terrible day of golf, but you hit that one shot that you know makes for the whole day, a hole in one, or like you chip it in from the fringe, something like that. She's going to play Fleur instead. Keep a more balanced leave here.
Makes
Going for
sense.
bingos because she's down. I think I would have taken the points though.
I agree. I think she might have been slightly worried about the placement of the I in a drift, potentially if like Ryan has a cue or something, just giving him a nice spot to play that or some overlap as well. So it's a more defensive choice, taking out the triple and keeping the bingo tiles with a couple of spots to bingo on the board. I understand this decision for sure.
I get it. It also wasn't a very scary triple, just down to the R there. There's not really such big plays that could play. And one thing is, Ryan had full knowledge of her rack because she had phonied and lost her turn. So the longer you play, the less tiles that Ryan will be aware of. Although I'm not sure if Ryan is the sort of player who will really adjust his plays based on such knowledge.
Yeah, I've played Ryan a bunch. I sort of do get that impression that he tries to think about that sort of thing, but often ends up just being like, yeah, I'll just play my own game. That's what I know. So yeah, it's possible he's thinking, oh, she has ADIR. Maybe I should block that lane on the bottom, hooking DEE. But there's really not a great way to do that. Maybe he can play something with beep and hope that
Like,
Annette hasn't drawn an
Earl?
S, which she has.
Right. Yeah, that's true. By trying to block, you can end up opening it up even more. Maybe Annette just wanted to make her own word through the AGOG, and that's why she couldn't take away that spot.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be content. But yeah, not any great options here for Ryan. I mean, you're right that R was not a huge spot, but I think he would have liked to just score 18 there with per EURR. But yeah, he can't really do that anymore. I think he's thinking of playing trap, wet, and beer potentially, but the leave is just awful.
Yeah, it's not good there. You just don't want to leave that U if you can avoid it. But I'm not seeing how he can really get rid of that U.
Yeah, it's worth noting. I mean, Ryan has the advantage here. He's up 26 and he's up a turn. But the letters that he has are not very inspiring for maintaining his lead. Lots of things can still go wrong. So position is certainly not comfortable yet for him, but he's probably going to try and get to a place where that that does become place place of comfort. You know, when you're comfortable
Yeah.
on the board, when you're comfortable with your lead, the plays just flow so much better. But in positions like these, you really don't have any great options, and you have to just come up with a mediocre plan.
Having played a lot against Annette, she likes to really obscure these boards, I find. And I find I often get in positions like this where there just really isn't so many candidate plays because she's just taken out so much of the board.
Yeah, and I did notice something. So another reason that Fleur might be better than we thought, that's the first eye out of 9 eyes. So playing Adrift would have given Annette 5 chances to duplicate her eyes, and she has drawn a second one,
Oh,
but
this
yeah, that
was,
that might be a problem going on, having so many eyes left.
it could be. This was interesting by Ryan. I was thinking Beep and Pearl. He ends up playing Bin, like, so not wanting to set up that S hook.
Yeah, that's an awesome decision by Ryan.
Very
I'm
clever.
super happy to see that.
I've played Ryan definitely a few times at tournaments, um, and also a few times online, but I just don't feel as familiar with his game. What sort of player would you say Ryan is?
I think Ryan's pretty unpredictable. He's strategic. He knows what he wants to do. Sometimes what he wants to do is a little bit out there, I think. But yeah, he makes a lot of very interesting um, point sacrifices. I think he likes to try and shape the board and do play defense when he's up and play aggressively when he's behind. And so I think he's a pretty dynamic player, and this just shows that the play of Neural not creating an S hook, just getting rid of his 1 point tiles and really not opening too much up. I really like this play.
Yeah, I do too. He's such a nice guy, Ryan, and I'm really excited actually to get to watch him. I think by commentating, you really get inside the players' heads, trying to figure out what they're thinking about. Right now, they're just having a great time, pretending we're not here and just, pretending they're enjoying a casual set. We'll see what Annette does. She does have those duplicate eyes. Looks like she has Ahi lined up.
Yeah,
She
she's
is
thinking of playing
down.
Ahis to the S and encloser, I think.
That would make a lot of sense. Now she looks like she's setting up Dish, maybe? I don't know where that would play. Ahi's would leave Rids. Although on this board, now that Ryan put that N there, Rids isn't such a great leave unless you do draw an E, and there are a lot of E's left.
Yeah, she's thinking of playing Hind now, being defensive, and Annette is not scared of, even when behind by
Right.
something like 30, 40 points, she is not scared of closing the board even further and making her opponent flinch, basically. So, yeah, she's not opposed to making a play like Hind, which does seem to be counterproductive with a deficit, blocking that O and that T in a vote. But I think she's going back to just playing off HI or AHI, and just trying to maximize her chances of a bingo.
Yeah, I would not be playing something like Hind, but Annette does it, and she does it with a lot of success. There's other players like Sid and some of these other defensive players who will make a play like that. I think she ended up going up with the best decision here. Instead of Ahi's, she's just going to play his, and now her leave is even more balanced with raids. She's really going to want to draw an E here.
Yeah, this is the top play by points and leave value combined. We call that equity, and we'll see what she draws. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, to further talk about Ryan a little bit. Um, I find it very difficult to beat him most of the times that we've played. As he plays update, which looks like his best play. He is opening
Yeah.
the board, but he's scoring 33 points. But yeah, I think he's just pretty unpredictable, and you never know what he's really up to. So that is a similar thing, I think, with the net, where their strategic understanding of the game is at a high enough level that it's really hard to get a read on what they're up to.
Especially back when I was playing Ryan, you mentioned how I haven't been playing tournaments lately. He wasn't rated quite as high as he is now, so clearly he's done something to improve his game. That update played really nice, although it is scary to float out DATE as floaters right after Annette
Yeah.
just fished off 2.
And is she gonna find her bingo here?
Oh, I think I see it now that you said that there's a bingo. I didn't see it at first, but there it goes.
Nice.
Anyone who's gone camping has to be afraid of catching Giardia.
Oh yeah, I have actually no idea what that is. I thought it was
So
a flower.
Giardia is like if you drink dirty water, it can be infected with like this bacteria,
Oh
uh,
no. Okay.
Giardia. So you want to boil your water or maybe treat it with iodine or some sort of filter. Um, I don't think Annette maybe knows what it means. Definitely, if you come to English from Norway or come to America from Norway and learn English, I guess she learned it in Norway because Scandinavians speak English so well. But this is not the sort of word that you would know unless you play a game like Scrabble.
Okay. Ryan has nodded his head in approval of this play. I think he's complimented the find because yeah, but not an easy word to spot. 2 I's, 2 A's.
No.
But yeah, we like to see it, and that takes a 25-point lead here. Ryan has duplicated I's, but he has that J, and he's 1 letter off of Jingo through that G. But
Oh, that
he's
would
gonna
be a
have
big
to.
one. I wonder if he can distract from that spot, open up something else, and go for one of those O's. There do seem to be a lot of, well, just 3 O's left. Uh, Probably not worth it if you can find a different play here.
Yeah, but I'm trying to see like what that different play would be. You can keep the J and play margin through that G, but like the other plays, you don't want to play JIN under the G, setting
No.
up that O that you don't have on the triple, bottom left triple. You don't really want to play AJI anywhere. There's nowhere great to do that. There are 2 blanks out. You kind of want to, yeah, you kind of want to play a lot of tiles here, but you can't really do that. So this is a very interesting spot for Ryan, and I'm curious to see what he comes up with.
Yeah, this is tricky. Um, Margin just seems so scary. Except, I guess what you know is that Annette has a random rack. She just played off all 7. We can see she doesn't have a very good rack. If you're going to play margin, now is sort of the time. But JI on this board is not what you want to leave. It's just not going to work out very exciting very often.
Yeah, I think AJI just making LA under Neural,
Right.
that's probably just the best you've got. You're definitely at a deficit here. But
Oh,
he's deciding to
well
play
played,
Jin
Jason.
instead, just hoping that Annette doesn't have a huge play under there or doesn't have an O, but she does indeed have one, and this is actually going to make her life a lot easier.
Yeah, I think OE scores 38 here, and with, 1 consonant and 6 vowels, she'll take that in a second. But MAIR definitely can work well on this board, so let's see what he draws. Oh, another O. The OT was promising, but I think maybe he just drew 1 vowel too many here.
Yeah, no playable bingos here, unfortunately. And options, again, are not so great for Ryan, who's now at a similar deficit to what Annette was at before her bingo of Giardias. So both planks still out, lots of fog left in this game, lots to see. A
I think,
decent amount of vowels left as well, but
right.
little does Brian know, Annette has a lot of those.
He can just play Mu above Giardias, forming MAOR and OD, and then keep the nice leave of AIRT and hope to draw one of those 2 blanks.
Yeah, that is definitely a decent option here. And yeah, it's just scoring something, leaving decently. It just feels so middling. I wish there was something better. There
Yeah,
just really doesn't seem to be. Of note, there's a really cool insertion play. You can put your I and your O between the C of
yeah.
enclosure and Oken. You can play ion, load, and CION. That's also a valid word, which is a
I was
pretty
looking
sweet
for
play.
COON. I don't know if that got removed. I think it's still good, but I didn't see CION. That's definitely clever. Ryan can definitely find a play like that. Yesterday, I heard Chloe say so many times that plays just felt so uninspiring, and today you're saying how it just feels so middling, and it's frustrating in Scrabble. You're like, I have the whole board to work with. I can't do better than just moo here, but sometimes you just have to take these 20 little point plays and just hope the tiles are nicer going forward. The problem here is that while both blanks are unseen, there's also a lot of clunk in that bag. Look at that UUVWYY at the end of the list of tiles there.
Yeah, lots of ugly stuff to draw. It was noted in the chat, those are the last 2 O's. It kind of feels bad, you know, Ryan didn't have an O and he drew 2 O's, but Annette had the last one. It was worth thinking about MOI. MOI in the same spot. A few people in the chat mentioned not keeping an I that might get duplicated, as we see it has, and keeping the last O for balance's sake, and that actually does a little bit better.
Yeah, good point. He would have had Septoria or something. But before we look at Ryan's rack, let's look at Annette. She's still in a bit of vowel consonant trouble, but the OE fish, she did manage to draw one more consonant, so she's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, she has, I think, one standout play here, and that is just to get rid of 6 tiles and play actuate through the T in vote. It optically doesn't look super great because you're keeping a lone I with still 3 I's to come, but with 2 blanks unseen, despite there being terrible tiles as well, the Q, the U, the V, it's still extremely important to draw at least one of those blanks in such a close game. So I think
Absolutely.
going ahead, taking those points and playing 6 tiles is probably what you want to do here.
Yeah, I think so too. It's scary drawing in that bag with the VWYQPFB. There's a lot of clunk you can draw, but those blanks, I think it's becoming a race to those blanks.
Yeah, I agree. If you don't play actuate, you could play Attie, CATTIE through the T and update. That's an incredible find. And
Oh
how do you
wow.
even know if CATTIE is valid?
I would
That's
challenge
like
that.
that's a way to score a little bit more and get rid of the I. But I think, yeah, I think actuate, it doesn't have that much risk. You're putting the U above, U right below the letters.
Oh, this is
She finds
clever.
Tarama. I was thinking about this word because Tarama salata has been added to the dictionary recently. I'm definitely butchering that Greek pronunciation, but this is a really cool play. And Annette is on hold.
Where is Chloe when you need her for the Greek words? Chloe, you know her father, Stefan, of Greek descent, and Chloe now speaks some Greek. After having studied it, she was living there for at least a semester, if not a bit longer.
Yep. And okay, Annette has drawn courtesy tiles. I'll explain once again what this means. She is being held, so Ryan is considering whether or not to challenge this word Tarama. If he decides to challenge, it's important that the letters Annette draws will not be mixed. But given that she has mixed these letters, that means that Ryan has accepted the play, or that she's done something horribly wrong.
Yeah.
But I think this is an indication that Ryan has accepted the 21-point play of Tarama.
Yeah, it doesn't score a lot. It's really hard to challenge a 21-point play if you're not 100% sure it's not good. Um, I had also been looking at that spot earlier for something like diorama. Annette was one tile off. It's a tempting little spot, and these little plays are so much more powerful when there's the threat of them being challenged. That's uh, that really adds to a play like Tarama, knowing that, let's say, even 20% of the time you get a free turn from it. So
Yeah, it's a really cute play for sure, and there's still possibilities of pedagogy or something. Although
oh
there's no
yeah,
B, but yeah,
it looks
we're really
like
hoping for those extension plays. So Ryan here
He's so
Wants to play
close.
off his P and his I.
Right.
Do you play Pit for 5 points to set up your last S?
Oh, but there's
Don't
two
think so.
blanks out. It's a bit scary. I'm not saying no, though. I think it definitely has a lot of merit. He's going to play pick, so the same idea. And there are a couple lanes, like through that E at the bottom, update from the D of update, or I guess a really marginal lane from the N in Oakener to the O or through the V of vote. But the lanes are sort of drying up as they tend to when you play against a net.
Yeah, and this, of course, as well as when the game gets closer to its end, more of the space is being taken up. As IF is Ryan's draw, those 2 blanks still lurking, that Q still lurking. So Net has drawn a second U. Question is she going to try and keep one of her U's just in case she draws that dreaded Q? And if so, how is she going to move forward from this position, being only up 19 points in a situation where there's a lot of danger lurking?
Do you think you can like exchange here and go for those blanks, exchange 6 or 7 or something, or is that just way too rash?
I think
But she
that's,
has dealt, yeah, she had more points than I thought.
yeah, she's playing this phony of Dulcie, and he's not being held. So, all right, yeah, this does look valid.
Yeah, it looks plausible. It looks like, sweet in some sort of language, Italian maybe. But it's not going to be good here. We'll see if it gets hooked.
Yeah, I don't think she's on hold, but she hasn't mixed her tiles.
I don't think she's put them on a racket. I think that's how she tends to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and she
Oh,
tries a
there's a
blank.
blank.
Wow. So this
Wow,
is a
a
huge
blank with
swing in Net's favor.
it is a swing, but look at those other tiles. They're all vowels except for the semi-vowels and the Y's. Y Y E E U A. That is ugly.
Yeah,
Although
indeed.
the Y's can score. You can play something like yay, right, and score some points. We'll see. Let's look at Ryan's clock. Both players getting a bit low on time, and Ryan's in a very similar position as last turn. He played off PI last turn. He might play off FI if he can. Although he'll keep the I's and take the points.
Yeah, he's
Reasonable.
this makes perfect sense to me. Just take
Yeah.
the points that you have and yeah, hope for a good draw. Tie the game up. And
What
Annette
about
here,
what about
Annette,
Fiat in the same spot? Would you
yeah,
play
also a
that
possibility. Yeah, I might
to
do
get
that.
rid of one of the I's maybe, stay a bit more balanced, and one more tile to go for the blank? It's close probably because the F scores more where he played it.
Yeah, could also have played off the R, just to
Rad.
play off an extra
Yeah.
tile, go for a blank. But what a crazy draw! Duplicates everywhere.
Oh, look what it gave her.
Yeah,
Beautiful find, Annette. What a play.
yeah. Always look at what changed. So I always tell my students, what did your opponent do? What has it changed? New hooks available? Anything like that? And yeah, Annette knows what she's doing. OD does not take a Y, but TOD does. And that's 36 points. That's a 40-point lead. And now Ryan with this horrendous set
Yeah,
of
that is
tiles. He's
ugly.
had some really, really awkward racks the last few turns.
Keeping those duplicate eyes, that was the risk here. I love what you just said though about seeing what changed. It reminds me of chess strategy, right? Like if someone's doing a chess puzzle, like it the last person, whatever they just moved, it probably led to a mistake. You really want to look first at what changed. I've never thought of Scrabble like that, but that's great advice.
Well, thank you. I hope you employ it. As long as it's not in a game that we're playing together. So Ryan here,
Uh-oh.
he's low on time. His best plays score like 10 points, 5 points, 6 points. I mean, this is
He's
just
down
brutal.
40.
He
It's
just
too
needs a
bad
lot of
that
help.
it's too bad he can't play something like RIT isn't a word. Raggy to front hook a G and
Mhm.
then like to go down sort of that way feels like a nice natural way to break up some of this stuff, but those just aren't words. Um, the board has gotten really closed on him. He really needs to open up, I think, something in the top left if he can.
And he's probably looking at the unseen letters. He's like, I want a blank. I want an E.
Yeah.
I do not want that other stuff. B-E-E-E-E. Q-U-V-W-Y blank blank. What a weird set of tiles.
I
5 in
guess
the
one of the
bag.
nice thoughts for him is that the E is so not like the E and the blank, even if you can get Q, U together, there's a couple things you can actually draw considering how ugly that pool is.
Just it's like if I feel for Ryan here, it just feels so
Hopeless?
horrendously awkward.
Yeah.
What do you do?
In the chat, what would you do in this situation? This is a tough one.
I think you want to playoff IRT. I really do, but like you can
Where?
play trio to
Trio?
the
No.
O and vote. You can play crit from the scene Dulkai.
Oh, the
Both of those
problem
are
is these
so
plays are taking
horrible.
away the space you need. Crit takes away the lane from the E. Trio takes away those marginal lanes with the V and the O. Like,
I
this
think you
is
still
tough.
play trio. I think you still play trio, and the reasoning is that you're giving back the triple on the top left. So we're playing trio to the O and vote. And if Annette takes that triple, you're going to be able potentially to play a
To get
bingo from the
bingo.
top left down. And you're maintaining that open E and update
Right.
potentially some other marginal spaces on the board. Instead, we see Raft. I think this is a fish, but for what?
For what? Well, he did draw an E. That's probably what he would have been fishing for, but I just don't think that. Oh, nitrites? Yeah, he has nitrites now.
Wow.
Look at that.
Wow, that's beautiful. I did not consider that at
I
all.
didn't either. Right when we think, and that's what he was fishing for. Look at this. That is like a 2000 level play. I love to see it. Way to go, Ryan.
That is so creative. And I mean, what's amazing is that there really were only 2 E's to draw and a blank. So that was a what was it? A 3 in 12. So a quarter, 25% chance of drawing what he needed. But I
But
do
that,
not foresee Annette figuring out what this is all about and blocking that N of all.
no, that's what I love about the play. I love fishing for the sort of plays that are going to stay open. She's never blocking over there. It just doesn't make sense for her to do it. I guess unless she were to play QI and Dulci,
Oh,
or
this is
QI
gonna get
QI.
super interesting though,
Yeah,
Jared.
well, who's going to draw the Q
Nitrites is
here?
gonna come down, but the Q is still out. If Ryan draws the Q after nitrites, I
Yeah, he's
think
going
it
to
will be
lose.
possible for Annette to stick him with it.
But if Annette draws the Q, she'll have plays like Key or Quay, however you want to pronounce it. She didn't draw the Q. He's going to draw the Q, and I think she can Q stick him.
No, he's gonna draw Q blank.
Oh, Q blank! Oh, he's going to win then.
Oh my
She needed
goodness.
that Q. She needed the Q for Quay. I don't know if it would have been enough, but I think Ryan just stole this game with that beautiful idea to fish off one and go for nitrites.
Insane. What a swindle by Ryan Chapita in this position. And
You know, you said he was unpredictable, and then he he proved it, and he proved it
think
in
about
the best
this.
way possible.
Like, think about this. Like, he's only up 10 points here. He really this was, I think, the only draw that was going to do it for him.
Yeah, like a lot of draws would have been a very quick loss, but I don't see any way she can win now.
Because, yeah, he's just going to go out. He can score 20 points everywhere. She can only score 25 with Bluey or rebuy. And, yeah, he's going to win by something like 15 points.
It looked like she was scanning the board, seeing what tiles are unseen, but when your opponent has Q blank, it's pretty quick to figure out what the two tiles are.
Yeah, that's insane. So from Annette's perspective, she drew VB. So the unseen letter is VBQ blank. I think
Yeah, that was a terrible draw.
I think Ryan would have lost with V blank or B blank. Maybe he would have won with B blank. I'm gonna look into this while you
Well,
keep talking
yeah,
about this.
well, because if she had the Q and she plays QUEY in the top left, I think she wins, right? I think.
I think so.
Uh, Looks like we're going to get an interview with these players after the game. We'll be able to ask them some questions. So in the chat, if you have any questions you'd like to ask, maybe pose them here and we'll be able to relay them to the players.
Oh my goodness. If she had drawn the Q, no matter what, she had exeki and WE at the bottom right.
I mean, if she found that, that's
But that wouldn't have been her only win. So yeah, with her drawing QB or QV, she still would have won the game. This was Ryan's
okay.
only path to victory.
Oh, hats off to him.
Wow.
You know, you wonder how a player who was rated around 1600 for a while wins a tournament like he did. Let's hear what they have to say.
Plus 12, 33.
So that puts me 404
Yeah,
to 372.
yeah, that was.
Oh, right, what
I
about?
mean, it's,
I'm freaking out.
yeah. I don't think I could have won though.
No,
I don't know why I thought, because I cracked off the blank for whatever reason.
So nitrates was a full-on fish.
Yeah.
I mean, there were 4 unseen E's from my point of view, plus 2 unseen blanks.
Yeah,
I feel
makes
like
sense.
over half,
I assumed you had the blank there, that one.
over half the tiles in the bag.
Yeah.
Give me the bingo,
Yeah.
so I could have here.
Right, makes sense.
I could have been unlucky there. I don't know what I would have done. I mean, if I don't bingo, you hit this lane. Then
I mean, I'm not hitting that one because I have shit.
yeah.
And I have a blank, but yeah.
I mean, it looked really interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
You could have both blanks.
No, I think my problem was because I tracked off my own tiles, so I tracked off the blank. And then I looked at the tracking and I was like, oh, there's blank left because I have a blank.
I'm crazy. 1 pound, 2 tiles.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. Yeah, it's a boogie. I mean, I don't believe in them so I just should have realized.
This is a tight game.
Yeah, it was a very interesting game. It was such a stupid ending.
We played super solidly. And Jared's an awesome time.
Thanks.
I guess we look up in closer now and look
I know.
at Torama.
I think that's me.
I like Tamara.
Yes,
He's good. Okay, awesome. Any closer?
so. Are we doing an interview after this?
We are.
Okay, good. Because I have things to say. Yeah, closer is good. Oh, that's so stupid in the end there. I don't know what happened. He like freaked out as it was going on.
What happens is I got my fish in a group line.
Yeah, but still. That was nice.
Much better than our previous game.
Oh, for sure. That was really interesting.
All right. Yeah, what an ending to that game. Crazy stuff. So we're gonna get the players interviewed, set up for the interview here. So if anybody in the chat has any questions that they wanted to ask about the game that they might find relevant to talk to players about, feel free to let us know. Jared, I'm hoping you're thinking about the same thing. Lots of twists and turns in that game, lots of tactical brilliancy and some stumbles along the way. But yeah, I think that was Ryan's game to win for sure.
It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And Ryan finished with a flourish. I love to see it. And I can see the chat has been blowing up with excitement over his great finish there. What a game. I really enjoyed all 3 games today, and I'm looking forward to hearing what these 2 players have to say about this one.
Yeah, me too. This is the final game of the night. So yeah, we're gonna get an interview with the 2 players. They're standing by. Hello, Annette. Hello, Ryan.
Hello.
GG. Great game.
Hello.
Nice.
Thank you.
I have so much to say.
I'm here with Jared Capel.
Very lucky there.
We were watching that game at the edge of our seats. It was really incredible. Lots of stuff going on. Ryan, first of all, I'd like to commend you. Nobody was thinking of that fish for nitrites. That was a brilliant stroke of genius there.
Oh, thanks. Means a lot coming from you. I was just telling Annette why I did that. From my point of view, I may have missed track, but I had 4 unseen E's and 2 unseen blanks. So I figured half the bag hits that, play off the R, and I got one of my lucky tiles.
Indeed, yeah. From exactly the standpoint from a Nets perspective, what's interesting is that there were I think there was 1 E and 2 blanks unseen. So you did hit a 25% in reality.
Oh, wow.
And after nitrites, your only way of winning based on what Annette had was drawing that Q blank.
Okay.
Wow.
Every other draw would have lost you the
Wow.
game
That's
if
crazy.
Annette found her best plays. So
I
yeah,
actually,
some numbers there, some numbers game, but you ended up winning. So that was really
Super lucky. Annette and I play all the time online, of course, and we hang out all the time. And we say that if the person gets a word challenge off, usually they deserve to lose. And that held true this game.
Jared, would you like to break the phony news?
Oh, is
Yes.
No.
it closer?
No, inclusive.
Dulce. Dulce.
Oh, really?
Really?
Oh,
I didn't
that's
even
the
blink
one
at
that
that.
looked good?
Okay.
Wow.
I would have let that go too. That looked totally fine to me.
I was so sure that was
Wow.
the dating
Is it
question.
Dulce with an
Yeah,
O?
it's
Is that
just
the good
with
one?
E,
Yep.
though.
Okay.
Yeah, DOLCI, DULCE.
Wow.
Oh.
It's
That
it's
happens a
really
lot.
tough.
Yeah, so
Okay.
tough to keep them straight.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Somebody
So,
called it a
Ryan-
Starbucks phony. That's funny.
Yeah.
Ryan, my question for you is you've been on a tear lately. We've really seen your rating climb to new peaks. I think you've hit a new peak rating. What have you done to
Yeah.
really improve your rating here?
Well, I play a lot of Scrabble.
Yeah,
I
that
just feel
helps.
like a pretty good place in my life right now. I think mental state has a lot to do with it, and I feel really happy with the way things are going. And I got to give Annette a lot of credit because she and I play a lot, and we have different skill sets. I think once we started playing, we identified holes in each other's games and kind of picked up off each other. And I mean, I'm also very lucky. I mean, there's a lot of luck in Scrabble, and have to draw well to do well in tournaments. But I guess a combination of factors. But I'm loving the game though. I want to see how high this goes.
Awesome. Yeah. And Annette, from your point of view, I mean, you have a lot of sparring partners. You play probably more Scrabble than any of us.
Probably.
Would you agree with Ryan that you've both helped each other improve your games massively in the last few months? And if so, what can you attribute this particular sparring partner? What can you attribute the improvements to?
Oh, I definitely think we have. Like he said, like we have way different styles, so we look at the game differently. And whenever we go through games, like we'll discuss spots, and like he brings up really good points that maybe I wouldn't have thought of, and that makes me think about things differently. And like I do the same with him. And I just think being open minded really helps.
Yeah, if I can credit Annette with a couple particular things, that she's really good with hooks, and helped me learn the importance of hooks. Like I would learn a bingo, but not the hooks. The hooks are just as important as learning the bingo. And also, she's very good at staying alive in games. There are games I guess I would have given up on before, and maybe go for spread, but they're not necessarily losable. And so it's about maybe think a couple turns ahead. That's helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree with that. Just playing somebody and being open-minded and challenging each other is one of the best ways to improve, potentially the best way to improve in this game. And I'm really glad for both of you. You've been on a tear lately. Net winning Phoenix, you coming in second. Ryan, you winning Madison.
Yeah.
It's been really awesome to see both of you grow as players. And I'm really excited to see even more improvements. And it was great to witness this game. It was awesome.
Thanks, Josh. And
Thank you.
is that Jared with you? Jared?
Yeah.
That is
Awesome.
me.
Awesome.
I hope to see
Great.
you guys in person soon. I was telling them, Annette, I'll get to see you in Vegas in a couple months, and I just
Yeah,
want to
I'm excited.
congratulate you, Annette. You
Thank
didn't
you.
come away with the win in this one, but Giardia's was such a nice find. The extension with Tarama, the play of A beneath forming Fora and Toady. So many nice plays in this game. Both
Thank
of you
you. I
were playing
appreciate it.
so well.
Thanks. Can I just say I mistracked in the end? I don't know what the fuck happened, but I didn't have him with a blank. I think I tracked off the blank twice, and I thought he had QR left. That's why
Oh,
I
no.
like what I did. Such a brain fart.
Oh, that's
Well,
unfortunate
You
because
played a
that
lot of
means you would have
Scrabble
won.
lately.
It's just so
Annette,
good.
you played the big tournament against Annette the other day, and then you played the early bird today, I think, and now the night bird. Do you find playing so much Scrabble tires you out, or you just love the game so much?
No,
It doesn't
we're probably
even
gonna
phase you?
we're probably gonna go play more after this.
Oh, probably. Definitely.
Never enough.
Yeah, last question to you two. Let's start with Ryan. So, the Canadian Scrabble Classic. tell us a little bit about how it is in person. Like, how's the camaraderie, the location? Yeah, what's up with that? I've never been to Belleville. It seems like a mysterious place to me.
Well, Belleville's a smaller city in Ontario. If you like chain restaurants, there's a lot around. I'm totally fine with that.
We've been to a couple.
Annette and I went to Eastside Mario's today. It was her first experience. I
Yeah.
said it's kind of made by high schoolers, and she goes, "I'm in. Sounds good." And she really loved the place. But no, it's good camaraderie. I think this tournament gives me a little bit of a Lake George vibe with the way it's in different rooms and same organizers. But I'm certainly liking it so far. I'm coming off a really brutal loss before this, so I thought I might be a little tilted. But I'm high in the tournament because of this win and other things. But no, it's a fun one. It's a fun one, and definitely recommend it.
Yeah. So last question for you, Annette. So, I mean, you've been to Canada a few times today.
Yes.
Is this your first time in Belleville?
It is, yeah, definitely my first time.
All right. So outside perspective. So Eastside Mario's. I love that. By the way, I love Eastside Mario's.
It was Swiss Chalet on the ride down. Yeah.
Swiss Chalet.
Yeah.
Is it a bit cold for you?
It's fucking cold.
And I said to her, it's not even cold. This is not Canada cold at all. This is kind of like a heat wave.
Yeah, I was telling Ryan, I don't remember the last time I saw snow. So coming here and
funny
it was a bit of a
enough,
shock.
I mean, yeah, for those unfamiliar, Annette is from a snowy place in the world of Norway. But funny enough, we were commentating earlier, Jared and I, and there was this loud noise. Apparently, there was a thunderstorm in Toronto tonight.
Oh.
Just the sky exploded on me, and I didn't really see it coming because earlier today it was snowing here. Not too heavy, but just one massive bolt, and I shut the window, and I think it died down after that. But it shook the walls. It was it was an AC/DC sort of big.
Don't get me to start singing that. Yeah, I mean, everybody heard it on the stream. Anyways, you two. I'll let
in my head now.
We'll let you go. We'll let you get to your after hours games.
Okay.
Be sure to let us know how those go. And really a pleasure.
Do you want to tell the viewers our record so far?
Yeah, you can. You can. She's up on our weekend series so far by several games. So I have to get my revenge tonight.
Yeah. You won the one that counts. All right, guys. Thanks for the interview.
Thanks so much. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Jared.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, that was Annette Overstad and Ryan Chapita. This was the final game of the night. Jared, a really, really awesome game to top off the evening part of the beginning of this Canadian Scrabble Classic tournament.
It was, and I love seeing that camaraderie between the two of them. I love seeing friends like that. It really makes me want to get back into this tournament scene. And if you're thinking the same thing watching at home, why not go on to letsplayscrabble.com and find more about the upcoming tournaments like the one in your home city of Montreal in late May.
Yeah, totally. Can't wait to see a bunch of you in my hometown in a few months. But until then, we're going to be here. Well, I'm going to be here all weekend. Hopefully you'll watch a little bit more, Jared. But yeah, it's always a pleasure to commentate with you. Let's look at some of the standings. So right now, Chris Sykes, a very familiar face at the top of the standings in Let's Play Scrabble tournaments, in first place, 3 wins, no losses. The other 2 players with 3 wins are Agnes Kramer, who we saw yesterday, and Hank Keys, who another up-and-coming player has won all 3 of his games. Of course, it's still early days, but yeah, Chris in a commanding lead with a lot of spread, and we're not surprised to see that. Annette close behind, though.
Yeah, Chris with averaging 497 points a game. So maybe he's played a couple of the lower players, but even still, to put up almost 500 points a game, he is on fire. We see Betsy Collins leading the B division here, but Pamela Hunter's also at 3-0. So 2 players poised very well there. Not sure if we're going to get the Collins standings or not, but tomorrow you guys will be seeing a mix of Collins and NW. You'll be joined by Jason Keller, I believe, in the morning. Is that right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
It'll be me and Jason Keller, extremely strong player Some of you might know him from Jeopardy. He's also into crosswords, as Jared mentioned. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, CSW Division A standings, Sam and Nico in first place. I think that's the first time I've ever seen Sam and Nico at the top of the standings. So it's really, really great to see that. He's a very strong player. David Nwabor in second, Sue Tremblay in third. Tunnicliffe and Adam Logan, who were the two favorites coming in. They both have 2 wins and 1 loss. So they're still very much in it with 12 games to go. But yeah, thanks so much to Josh Koff and Let's Play Scrabble for these fun standings. What are they calling them? Advanced? Is that what they're calling them? The advanced stats. Yes.
Advanced
exactly.
stats. I like it.
The LPS advanced stats. So yeah.
We already have a
proprietary.
lot of Joshes in the Scrabble scene, but now we have one more, and he's helping us out, so we appreciate that. I'm looking forward to catching the rest of the tournament, and thank you for having me. I always love doing this.
Hey, it's a pleasure. The pleasure's all mine. Love commentating with you, man. It'd be great to see you at a tournament and play some Blitz, man. It's been a while.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. Well, that was it for the first day of the coverage of the Canadian Scrabble Classic. Visit letsplayscrabble.com for standings, for updates, for all the sort of things that get people excited for our game. I'll be back tomorrow morning with Jason Keller, bright and early, 9:15 a.m. Eastern, to cover CSW side of things. And that's about it. So, okay, 9:30, sorry, 9:30, a little bit later. But that's about it for me. Jared, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for commentating. Have a great night, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Take care. Thank you.